May 12th, 2026 Bloomfield Hills City Commission meeting. Let's please start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Do we have any city commission comments or questions? No comments, no questions?
No. Regarding what? I'm sorry. What was?
The consent agenda, any questions or comments?
Yes, actually. I talked to Chief earlier today. There was, we were over budget for overtime for the police, but he explained there was issues with a couple employees doing the training and then leaving, so a lot of people had to jump in and fill the spaces, and I appreciate everyone in the stepping up and filling those spots, so thanks for explaining that. I also talked to Chief about the drones, but that's not part of this. Otherwise, I'm fine, thank you. Everything else is on the agenda.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
We have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Moving right along, the next item is recognition of citizens in the audience. Now, I see there's a lot of people here tonight. If you have a comment or a question that is on something on the agenda, please hold that back until we get to that specific agenda item. But now is the time, if you have a question or comment regarding something that is not on the agenda, please raise your hand, state your name, your address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Anybody have anything? No? Okay, good. We do have a few items on the agenda tonight that you might be interested in. I'm assuming that's why you're here. Item 4 is a public hearing on our fiscal year 2027 budget. Item 6 is a presentation from the Oakland County Road Commission regarding a study that they conducted in February of this year on the Lasser and Hickory Grove Road intersection. And item 10 are presentations from our city engineers, HRC, and our police chief on their findings on the traffic study at Lasser Road. So keep an eye out for those 3 items if those are what you're interested in, and I'll call for public comments when the time comes for those. Okay, so item 4 on the agenda is the fiscal year budget matter. The presentation we're going to follow here is Sandra Barlis, our finance director and treasurer, will put on a presentation. We'll have some comments. We'll open the public hearing, and you can have public comments when we open the public hearing. When we finish with the public comments, we'll close it, and we will vote then on the budget for the 2027 fiscal year. So, Sandra.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to present the fiscal year 2027 proposed budget. Tonight's overview, it's like a higher level. It doesn't give the detail, but on our website is each budget or each fund's budget that's being proposed, and then we will have a budget book available on July 1st for you to review. It'll be a new format. It'll be interactive, so if you're interested in that, and of course, always give me a call if you have questions. So before we begin, though, I'd like to thank the City Commission for our budget meetings. I really appreciate it, and then, of course, the city staff as well. All of your work, your quotes, and our discussions is very helpful. So, that. This is our key focus areas for our annual budget. The workforce retention, capital investment, meaning both capital purchases as well as infrastructure, capital infrastructure. Technology, we're always trying to stay ahead of technology and making sure that we're on top of that. And last but not least is our liability commitments. So specifically referring to pension and OPEB. So if you've never heard the term OPEB before, it's one of many government acronyms. It stands for Other Post-Employment Benefits. So for the city, that means medical for our retirees. So you'll hear me say that a few times throughout this presentation. So we'll touch on each of those, but let's begin with revenue. So our governmental funds revenue is expected to be we'll say $17,560,000. You can see the majority of that is our property tax collection, around $13.3 million. That's 76% of all of our revenue, and specific to our general fund, it's 86%. The second revenue is revenue sharing. So that is both by sales tax that goes to our general fund, as well as what is often referred to as the gas tax, or another term we use is Act 51 funds. So that is when you fill up at the tank or at the gas pump, the tax you pay is distributed as revenue sharing back to the city. And that it goes into our major and local roads fund, and it's restricted, meaning we have to spend it on our roads. And then you can see the other breakdown of our revenue, but I wanted to mention our property taxes. So our state equalized value for 2026 is $1.45 billion, and our taxable value is $1.22 billion. So that is a 5.2% growth over 2025. And then expenditures. So we're proposing $17,073,000 in expenditures this year. You can see the majority of that is operating expenses at about 57%. That encompasses quite a bit of departments, certainly personnel, some of our engineering and assessing, library, all of that kind of is encompassed in operating. And then the legacy cost, which was the pension and OPEB, follows by 25.6%, and then debt, infrastructure, and capital. And I'm going to touch on each one of those. So starting with legacy costs, honoring our legacy costs. So that is our pension and OPEB, like I mentioned. So for fiscal 2027, that expenditure will be $4,369,000. You can see there's the two buckets, the pension and OPEB. We have the required amount and then the discretionary. So our required amount for pension is at $2.19 million. That is what MERS, where we have our pension, who handles our pension, requires us to pay that amount for 27. That is to pay the benefits for our retirees, as well as keep us on track for future years, our liability. And then the discretionary of the $1 million, that it was a decision the City Commission made. So to back up just a minute, our pension as of the end of calendar year 2024, our pension liability is funded at 74%. In about a month or so, we'll get the next report telling us where we're at, but that's the latest report. And so by the discretionary, we are depositing money into a surplus fund. And so what that does is help move us faster into paying off our liability. So if we continue, there'll be another slide coming up, but if we continue to make that discretionary payment, we will pay off that liability about 5 years sooner than we would otherwise. And then you can see the same thing on the OPEB side. The $677,000, that is a pay-as-you-go, and what I mean by that is we pay the medical bills for our retirees. And then the $500,000 is the discretionary that we put into a trust fund for those medical expenses. And that is currently roughly about 82% funded. That should be fully funded by 2030. And then we have our pension obligation bond. That is maturing in 2034. Our payment for this coming year is that 1.126 million. That's roughly what it will be for the next 8 payments. So including this one, we have 8 more payments to pay off that bond, and that is the only bond that the city currently has. And then capital purchases, I'm not gonna list them all because, you know, it's not a long list, but we'll be here a little while. So if you want more information, I'll certainly give that to you, and it will be in our budget book, but you can see the breakdown. I'll just give you a couple highlights. We're purchasing 2 Chevy Tahoe patrol vehicles. We do a rotation to keep those new. So every year we purchase 2. Also, the DPW needs a new pickup truck. So that's in the budget. There's some upgrades to the public safety rifles. There is some cameras that we need. And IT equipment, we're always staying on top of the IT equipment. So again, if you want more information, I'd be happy to give that to you. And then future reserves, we have 2 pieces of equipment that are coming up due. The fire apparatus and a DPW salt truck. Those actually take 2 full years to build and have delivered. So this current fiscal year, we are reserving those funds so that they're available when it comes due, so we can order it. And then our Chesterfield Bridge is our infrastructure project that we are doing, and that's on the agenda tonight. That was originally, we thought we would complete that in fiscal 26, the current year that we're in, but we have to push it back. The expenses, the majority of the expenses will hit in fiscal 27. So we received a grant for that, $1 million grant. We've gone through the environmental review process. That is complete. We've done the federal application and it's been approved. We've received construction bids, and then tonight the city commission will vote on that contractor. If they want to approve that, then the job should start in July. That's the only infrastructure project we do have planned for this coming year. And then here's that, I mentioned earlier, our general fund balance. So our fund balance, this is our unrestricted fund balance, and what that really means is this is our savings account. But this is just a portion of it, or the majority of it, is unrestricted. The full balance is higher than that. It's in the 8 million range, but the rest of it is restricted and held for obligations. So this is unrestricted. And the reason you see the dip, let me explain the line. That is our fund balance as a percentage of our expenditures. So the commission's policy is to keep that between 30 and 35. You can see it does dip down a few years, but that goes back to the planned paying down our liabilities with our pension and OPEB. So we are requesting commission to vote on tonight's budget. That is for just for 1 year to the 2027. And this is just a look forward if they continue to fund that liability every year. So even though it will go down below their policy, it will swing back up once we have that paid off. And then water and sewer. Everything we discussed earlier was our governmental funds. It does not include water and sewer. That's separate. And the only thing planned as of right now is our engineers are taking a look at our water redundancy and our emergency operations plan. And once that's complete, if they identify anything, there may be future projects for consideration during the year. And water and sewer rate discussions will be next month at the June meeting. So that is it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for all your hard work putting that together.
I'll open up the public hearing right now. Do we have any questions or comments from the audience on the fiscal year 2027 budget? motion to adopt the general appropriations budget resolution in the form attached in item 4 in our agenda packet tonight?
I move to approve it.
Need a second?
Can I second that?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. All right. The next item on the agenda is the commission will hear a request for relief from the development moratorium for the proposed project at 100 West Long Lake Road.
Yes, Mayor Potem, the city is currently under a moratorium, and there is a part of the moratorium where there's a relief for folks that may feel aggrieved that they cannot move forward with their project. And we have one such case today for 100 West Long Lake. The moratorium really is until June of this year, and it's really for development and projects that may be occurring in the city, and the city wants to take some time to review current zoning and current land uses. And there is a project right now at 100 West Long Lake that they want to move forward, and they want to explain their case. So I'm not sure who's going to be speaking about that tonight. Mr. DeRoche, if you could come up to the...
So Eric, you're not
Oh, Eric? Yeah, Eric, you want to?
I don't have anything.
Yeah.
unless there's-
No, I don't think
Unless you have some questions.
All right.
so. Yeah.
Great. Well, this is a pleasure here. You all hear me? Can you hear me from this, or we just talk?
You talk.
Regular. Okay. First of all, one moment for a little nostalgic thing. My name is Lou DeRosier, architect, and I was thinking today on the way here, my father and I, if you combine our years, have been here 100 years. So he did St. Hugo's of the Hills Church in 1930. I see your city was started in 32. And of course, since then, I've done the Trust Bank here, Northern Trust, and also Penske's International Headquarters. So, and now we have a new project, which is very exciting. So that segues right into this. Really, we totally appreciate and respect your idea of your moratorium. For about a year, we've been working on this project, and we've worked closely with all your consultants, including Eric here and a couple of others. And really, the important thing here is we're just doing an exterior veneer on an old, tired building. This building has never been noticed very well. We all drive by it thousands of times, I would say. And we were very careful with our presentation. We're showing you before and after. So it's virtually a total exterior skin, brand new skin. The building is totally outdated for energy. It's had single glazing and so forth. So it's a complete upgrade. So Amy, we'll just look at this picture for a minute. This is actually almost from the car driving by. And you can see how we insert what the new building's going to look like, we hope. Now, we want to make it clear, we're here strictly to get your permission to be able to go to the Planning Commission.
So, Mr. Royce,
Yes.
I lived in that place for 20 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I sat in Roger, what was his name, DeLorean's office for, I always act like no one wanted to come in the office, it was DeLorean's old office. I don't, just to respond to your quip, the reason for the moratorium is not to challenge people who have their existing uses, in my mind at least.
Yeah.
And we've all read this, we're real satisfied.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Very
This
thoughtful.
is really something. Did you guys really fix the heating system that didn't work when I was there all
Yes,
those
they
years?
finally broke down and got a new boiler, right.
Really?
Yeah.
It was 40, it was like 40 degrees in the winter,
Right.
and 98 degrees in the summer.
I'm familiar. No, it's coming along
It looks
very
beautiful.
well. So there's a couple other shots I'd like to share with you. I appreciate your thoughts there with the public here. One, if you want to go, Amy, to the next one, I'll just be very quick here. These are, we're going to have all insulated, beautiful insulated glass, which will have total energy. It's a curtain wall. Oh,
I'll just stand next
well, yeah, I appreciate it. And then the perimeter that you see, the tan color, is actually a Lucabon. All these products are guaranteed for life. And I always say that with a joke because for some of us, life is different. I'm just kidding. So we have these beautiful louvers that correct the architecture. The whole idea was to bring this building into 2026 veneer and make it look, in my agreement with my contract, I'll never forget when I wrote it to the owner, I said, I want everybody, my goal for you is that when people leave this corner, this intersection, they only remember this building, which is a good sales pitch. Anyhow, so before, you can see the pictures on the left, we were very careful to show before and after. So these are the new views. So it's a brand-new atrium, three-story atrium, all glass. And I think there's not too many other shots, I think. We don't want to confuse anybody. Those are the same views before, and you can see that. But the building is the exact same use, same plan, nothing's changed, except we hope to lease it out really big time, as soon as possible.
I have a question.
Sure.
You're adding some floor space.
We actually added no floor space. It's 40,000 square feet, a little bit in the atrium.
But what is that? It won't be used for office space.
No, that's where you'll enter the building. Oh, we also added a brand new elevator. It actually has 2 elevators now, which is great. So we're just hoping that everyone will work with us and want to make this an exciting part of your new, I call it rejuvenation venture. Because that's what I think you're trying to do, right? Based on all the things that happened through COVID and so forth. It's amazing. So we hope that you'll work with us on this.
Do we have any questions or comments?
No, I think it aligns well with the spirit of what we're trying to do, and it's an existing use, and I really don't see any issue with,
I agree.
You know, that building is built for some smaller office. That building will fill up in a medium.
It's 40 years old, over 40.
Yeah, because there's the JFK building to the north, which is empty, you know, that's the one with the broken windows where the birds are running into the windows. And this is exactly what office should be like in town.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Size.
That's our goal.
Do we have a
Thank you.
motion in response to the petitioner's request for a waiver from the moratorium for an architectural and facade improvement to an existing structure located at 100 West Long Lake Road?
Do you want any comment first to see if anybody's got a comment?
Oh, does anyone in the audience have comments?
I move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Good luck with your project.
Move back there.
That brings us to item 6. The commission will hear a presentation from Oakland County Road Commission regarding the Lasher Road and Hickory Grove Road intersection. Dave?
Looks like Jeff O'Brien and traffic engineer Alex Rosinski are here to discuss some options of improving the corner at Losser and Hickory Grove.
Well, thank you very much for having us tonight. Again, my name is Jeff O'Brien. I'm the design engineer for the Road Commission for Oakland County. With me tonight is Alex Rosinski, who's the traffic engineer for the Road Commission. And we're really here to kind of run through some options for an improvement at Losser Road and Hickory Grove, and to get feedback from the City Commission, ultimately, and others as well. So really, the purpose of this presentation really is to review the existing intersection conditions, present improvement options, provide information on safety, cost, impact of any proposed improvements that we're looking at this evening, and really provide information for the commission to either decide to provide comment feedback, that sort of thing. And so the reason we're really here also as well is that obviously the city has jurisdiction of the south and east leg of the intersection. So those are under your jurisdiction from a road authority perspective. As well, obviously from our perspective, it's important to us to get your input, feedback, you know, any other information that we can use in order to make decisions to move forward, hopefully collectively, in terms of the improvement of this intersection. So the existing intersection conditions itself, today it is really single through lanes with really just flared pavement at the intersection. There's no right turn lanes, center left turn lanes. There's really unbalanced pedestrian features at the intersection, and what that means is that really, you know, along the west leg and the north leg, there are pedestrian crossings. However, today there are no signalization for those pedestrians. They are not ADA compliant. So any improvement at this particular intersection, those would all be brought into compliance at that particular point in time. It is a diagonal traffic signal today, essentially just red, yellow, green, no left turn phasing at the intersection, and there's one overhead street light at that intersection. So really the issues here at this existing intersection, from what we can see from just reviewing the actual operations, we do observe a left turn crash pattern at that intersection. And so really those patterns are northbound to westbound and westbound to southbound type crashes. And these left turn or angle head-on type crashes are kind of the worst sort of crashes. Obviously folks can come through on the green, you know, and strike a left turning vehicle. You have the potential for higher injury type crashes, you know, with that type of crash pattern. We have had some reported intersection queuing, you know, queues from eastbound Hickory Grove in the AM peak, and then southbound Losser in the PM peak. So some of those approaches do queue up during those peak time periods, whether that be in the morning or in the afternoon. Reports some cut-through traffic in nearby subdivision roadways. The old signal today is a diagonal span signal. It is not the current standard. And what I mean by that is, one is from a worker safety perspective. The actual workers need to get it physically in the middle of the intersection to service the signal, as well as from a visibility perspective for the motoring public and or pedestrians for that matter. This signal is just not in the right spot from a visual perspective. That signal that's out there today was installed in 1988, so it's coming up to 40 years old. Typical lifespan of a traffic signal is 25 years old, so it has served its purpose well. I guess we've gotten pretty much everything out of the signal that we can and continue to. Also, we've had some residents express concerns about speeding on the east and south legs. As you know, those legs are under the city's purview, ultimately. They are 25-mile-an-hour speed limits, and so folks can come through in the green, right? And our legs are posted at 35, and so there's a bit of a speed differential between the different legs and the approaches at that intersection. And as well as we have received, you know, a number of comments from residents express concerns about near-miss pedestrian encounters at the intersection. Obviously, there's a middle school on the southwest corner, and folks are either going to and from school, that sort of thing, and we've had a number of comments with relating to that. So just to discuss the alternatives to consider, I'm going to turn it over to Alex and go from there.
Good evening, thank you. We're going to present two alternatives for you guys to consider tonight. One of them is reconfiguring the intersection geometry and replacing the signal with a new current standard signal. One alternative is a compact roundabout. We are not going to discuss the just replacement of the traffic signal because of the existence of that crash pattern that's been identified. From our standpoint, we do not do signal replacements as an agency without the installation of a center left turn lane. There's been several studies that show the safety benefits of having those, particularly at signalized intersections. This intersection already has a documented history of left turn crashes. What you see here is a conceptual drawing of what that intersection would look like with some geometric improvements and a signal replacement. This includes center left turn lanes. This includes the existence of a through right lane. It maintains the pedestrian crossings on the north and the west leg, and it also includes that box span signal. What that means is the signal heads are on the opposite side of the road, and it's like the entire intersection is boxed out by the signal operations. That box span signal reduces red light running at a signal people see that further away, and subconsciously, they start braking before they get into that intersection, and that helps reduce that red light running at the end. RCOC made that choice roughly about 20 years ago to start installing box span signals. Getting into some more of the details with that reconfigured intersection geometry, we estimate roughly 200 feet of storage. Once we get into the design, if this is the chosen alternative, we'll make the determination of how much left turn storage length is needed on each approach leg. That'll be done by looking at full intersection turning movement counts and looking at that type of operations. We are not planning on having dedicated left turn phasing, meaning there will not be a left turn arrow at this intersection. We don't estimate that the demand is sufficient enough right now to meet that. We'll evaluate that once we get turning movement count, but right now we are not planning on having that.
So you're having a left turn lane, but no left signal.
Correct, meaning that it will just have that K sign with the left turn only, and people will turn in gaps at that, in that intersection.
You been there at 8:30 or 8:45?
Yeah, I know.
From 8 to
I've been there at 6, 6:30, 7, 7:30, 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock in the
My
morning.
son lives in that last picture. He lives on Hickory Grove, 300 yards west of, Albert Hatch's old house. And it's, when I come out swimming in the morning, I can't go that way. I go on Orange Lake to get down to Lasser, which is going to be another problem I'll raise after you finish your presentation. We've given a lot. I also my son had an accident with me in the car last week on Lasser, coming off of Square Lake, because the poor people have to come out of a subdivision off of the west side of Lasser, and the road is closed to Telegraph. It used to be an exit on Telegraph to going up, an exit off of that subdivision going up to Square Lake. They had it closed because cars would be going 70 miles an hour there, and that would have really been unsafe. I mean, that we built the community before we built enough real recognition of these cars. So, well, go ahead. I mean,
No, certainly, and again, depending on what data we get, if this is the chosen route to go, the data will determine what these decisions are. Right now, based upon the operations that are out there today, we wouldn't plan on putting in a left turn phase. But if the data shows that it's warranted, then we would do that. That's the whole idea with having that left turn pocket available at an intersection. It allows the opportunity to build out in the future to do that.
But then you're buying the box system, and then you have to replace it and pay for it differently.
You would not have to replace it. What you would do is you would add on that signal head, and then you would run wire back to the controller cabinet that operates that signal. So it's basically like you've got the framework to put in there, you've got the outlet for it, you just need to put the bulb in it, screw it in, and plug it into the wall. That's the easiest comparison.
No,
I can have for it.
Like an elevator shaft without an elevator.
Exactly. It's the box span signal. We will add pedestrian indication heads, and we'll add push buttons on that north and that west leg. Basically, that's going to give you your solid hand for don't walk or your walking pedestrian, and that will be pedestrian activated. There will be certain times depending on the demand. For example, during what's identified as a peak time, I'm going to say walking to school, leaving from school, where that will be on an automatic recall. We do that quite frequently around the county. We are not planning on adding any new additional pedestrian crossings at this point in time. We're just going to replace what is there. What this does is this improves operational consistency. This is the same type of signal that you find all around the county and in this area. It's pretty standardized. People are familiar with it. Estimated cost for the construction is about $1.8 million. This particular option will have impacts to the surrounding properties. There will be grading that's required, trees that will need to be taken down. There may be other impacts that, as we get further into design, we'll identify what those impacts are. This particular option requires a full closure and a detour, and will take anywhere from 6 to 12 weeks of a full closure. That's estimated right now, just looking at the design that we have. The next option is a compact roundabout. This option puts a small island in the center of the intersection. You will have divider islands coming into it. It is a single lane roundabout. That center island is a small raised pavement area that large vehicles, articulated vehicles, school buses could mount that to complete the circular motion to make what we would consider a left-hand turn. That is how that is designed on these compact roundabouts. They're designed to reduce speeds through the intersection to about 15 miles an hour. No different than any other larger roundabout, just in a smaller configuration. Like I said, single lane roundabout, it will remove the existing traffic signal. This entire project would remain inside the existing footprint of the intersection. It would utilize the same drainage system that's out there today. It slows traffic speeds down through the intersection. There are no proposed new pedestrian crossings. The crossings on the north leg and the west leg would remain. Obviously, we would bring those into ADA compliance. It improves operational efficiency through the intersection. That's the big plus of a roundabout versus a traffic signal. It minimizes impacts to the adjacent properties. The estimated cost is about $525,000. It would require a closure and a detour as well, but we estimate the construction time is about 6 weeks.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure,
about the
absolutely.
Pedestrian crossing, how does that work with the roundabout? And I'm assuming then you need lights in addition to the roundabout to stop cars to let people cross.
You do not need lights for that because it is a single lane entry. The Federal Highway Administration does not require any signalization of those lights. On these single lane entries, people are required to yield to pedestrians in those crosswalks as if it were any other crosswalk.
So you're just taking your chances and running across.
Yeah, well, what you have to remember is it is a slower operating speed through there. Anybody coming in has to yield to traffic that's already in that roundabout. So they're already operating at a lower speed in that intersection. There are some communities that we work with that have chosen to put in what are called rectangular rapid flashing beacons. If you see them, they are pedestrian activated, and they are small strobing beacons where it just has an oscillating strobe back and forth, and they are yellow. They grab your attention quite profoundly as you're coming through an intersection or a crossing. And
I've
that's
seen
something
those.
that could be done.
You push a button and I saw it in Atlanta. And
If it has a red thing, it's fine. If it's got yellow, I don't want to be the one who made the mistake.
Yeah, I mean, they do grab your attention. We found them to be quite effective. I'd hate to quote you a number on how effective they are, but RCOC was part of an implementation study several years ago on these rectangular rapid flashing beacons and pedestrian hybrid signals. They're commonly called a hawk, and that's what you may be thinking of, where it's an overhead signal that actually provides a red indication that is treated as a traffic signal, and that has the same enforcement as a traffic signal. So there are two very different ways to maintain that, but neither one of them is a requirement on a single lane entry roundabout. That is something that as a community, if you guys and your neighboring community over in Bloomfield Township decide that that's something that you guys want to do to add to that intersection, that's something that can be explored. But that's not being proposed at this time.
Can I just tell the commission, this might be something we consider for Woodward if we assist with a crosswalk across Woodward on Long Lake, those flashers. Just something to
This is,
consider.
you gotta, if you're talking, don't talk about Bloomfield Township a whole lot. This is really a city of Bloomfield issue to a lot of us. This Lasser Road crossing, we got 180 good voters north of us in the subdivision of north of Pine Ridge. And I think they're pretty upset, and I can understand why. And we're gonna get through it. I mean, go finish.
Well, certainly.
Poor Jeff doesn't have to put up with my abuse anymore.
One slide that I like to present to everyone when we're comparing a roundabout to a traditional intersection is conflict points. When we are talking a traditional intersection, there are 32 vehicle conflict points at that intersection. That is vehicle to vehicle conflict points. There are 24 pedestrian to vehicle conflict points, if there are 4 crossings. This particular intersection only has 2 crossings, so that pedestrian to vehicle conflict gets reduced to 12. So compared to a roundabout, in a single lane roundabout, there are 8 vehicle to vehicle conflict points, and there are 8 vehicle to pedestrian conflict points. Again, we have 2 crossings here, so that pedestrian to vehicle conflict point gets reduced to 4. So when we talk about particularly vulnerable road user, your pedestrians, your bicyclists. The conflict points are significantly less in a roundabout than what they are at a traditional signalized intersection. So these are some of the things that are important to us at RCOC, is making sure that we reduce these potential conflicts as much as possible when we're evaluating improvements at an intersection. Roundabout eliminates the right angle, head-on left turn crashes. If you do have crashes at a roundabout, they tend to be low speed and less severe, okay? At your traditional intersections, you do have those right turn conflicts, although by adding that left turn lane, those opportunities do tend to be a little bit reduced, because people now, that left turn gets moved out of the way, through traffic isn't delayed as much, so they don't feel that urgency to get through the intersection on the yellows, on the reds, when people may be turning left. So that's part of this opportunity to make these improvements, is to make these small improvements that reduce these crash conflict points. Traditional intersection does not reduce that through speed when somebody felt like they've been delayed and they run that yellow. Or they're coming through at speed on a green because they're arriving on green. The crashes in a traditional intersection tend to be more severe. Your T-bones, your head-ons, those still exist there. That's basically the summary of the conflict comparisons between the two types of intersections that we're proposing here. Everyone's got a benefit, everyone's got some cons, so that's up to you guys to voice your opinion as to what you like on each one of those, and I'll turn it back over to Jeff.
So what, depending on, comments received and, what does implementation look like? We understand that, the intersection does need an improvement to occur. So if a signalized option, it moves forward, ultimately, work at the intersection cannot occur during the MDOT project that's proposed on Woodward. That's scheduled to start after Dream Cruise of 2027. Also, any work in the intersection, I would assume at this point that they would like it done during the summer, during school recess, not impact schools, buses, access, that sort of thing. We know that MDOT's Woodward's project is going to, carry into 2028. We don't foresee an opportunity to construct a signalized intersection in 2028 as a result. So we would be looking at a 29 construction schedule for a signalized option.
Can I interrupt just for a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
You said it takes 8 to 12 weeks
Yeah.
to put a signal in, and they aren't starting construction on Woodward until 27? A year from now?
Yes.
So why isn't there a 12-week period that we could
Okay.
put the signal in?
So,
Don't
no,
rush.
absolutely.
Yeah, don't
So,
rush.
so at this particular point in time, no design really has occurred.
Okay.
Okay, so the most that we have right now is surveys, so there would still be a significant amount of design work that has to occur. Utility coordination, if there's right-of-way that needs to be acquired, right-of-way acquisition, public involvement, all of those kinds of things take time. Obviously going out to bids, there's just insufficient amount of time between now and MDOT's project to do a signalized.
A year and 3 months.
Yes.
I understand that part, Jeff.
Couldn't we put it on rapid?
We may not want to. Jeff, I mean, you talk about the right-of-way acquisition. If I recall right, it was the judge's house on the southeast corner.
Southeast corner.
It got in the way of the condemnation, 3 years ago when we stopped it. Realistically, we all talked about it, and our sub went crazy. I don't know if the one to the north of us did. I am really worried about the water there. I'm not convinced you've taken an accounting of how substantial maybe it's a change, maybe it is a changing weather pattern, but we get flooding that closes that Lasser Hickory Grove corridor at least 5 times a year now, and I just don't know if the roundabout's buildable there without huge changes in the water patterns. I mean, I watch this. I mean, I have other issues for you. I mean,
Yeah.
when you're done, I'm.
Yeah, no,
I'm not-
that's
Yeah,
perfect, it's perfectly fine. So from a signalized intersection perspective, that would include most likely a new drainage system, so all that needs to be designed, permitted, has to have an outlet.
Another $2 million.
So all of those things need to occur and happen, obviously, and to address some of these particular concerns. And obviously, we have many other projects also in the queue as well. So this is one of many. And so at this point in time, since no design has started, we wouldn't be able to complete the project in advance of MDOT's Woodward project. So having said that, and looking at MDOT's schedule and the desire likely to have it done.
Well, it doesn't sound like you could do the roundabout either. It doesn't sound like,
Well,
we're on your radar, so that's.
Okay, so from a signalized intersection perspective, still right away, drainage was brought up, with the new drainage system could complicate with utility complexities, with utility relocations, that sort of thing. So all that can drive cost.
I know this drives cost, but what you're not considering is the roundabout. I'm usually in favor of roundabouts, but there is no stopping. What this community, I live in that community, if there's a roundabout there, the stream of traffic will be nonstop, and none of us will be able to get out of our neighborhoods.
And like I
And
said,
that is a
We
number
can't-
one
we can't get out
issue.
now.
And that's what we're here to listen to. That's why I'm here.
I don't know about you, but we risk our life getting out of our neighborhood.
Jeff,
every-
yeah, my daughter had, we have lots of accidents in my family anyway, so but my daughter got hit, she got in an accident at the corner of Pine Ridge and Lasser, and I every time I go there, I mean, it's like a frightening sight for old guys like me to leave.
I can see, I am young, it's an issue. People are nonstop, there is no break in the traffic, and this roundabout design will make it a continuous flow of traffic on Losser that is unbearable for,
Unbearable
people
for the
living
kids.
there.
And then we're gonna get to the next topic, which is the kids getting across from a subdivision and effectively saying, you should be going to private school because you can't go to public school because it's such a danger to walk there.
Well, and again, that's why we're here tonight. Ultimately, you as partners in the project, having two legs, right? That's what we're here for.
yeah, I like to
discuss.
cross the street to walk to.
You want
Two legs.
to be my partner, Star. No through traffic for trucks. You've misdesigned Telegraph and Square Lake Road 40 years ago. And when they put in the 4 lanes on Square Lake in the mid-'80s, early '80s, I said, this is the end of the world. 4 lanes this way, 4 lanes. Right now, those people coming from off I-75 have to wait 8 minutes to get across the red light at Woodward. And if you put no local traffic, no through traffic on the sign at the corner of Hickory Grove and Telegraph, and at Lasser and Square Lake, I think that you would find that a lot of the traffic would be diminished. The next thing you need is that we need our police in our city to ticket the hell out of everybody who's speeding down Hickory Grove, including my wife once. and including everybody on Lasser, because no one, except for old guys like me, who have, like I told you, the one meeting, I'm so used to guys coming by me at 38 miles an hour after they're off of the red light at Hickory and Lasser when I'm driving home. Going back, that's how I get it. And it's so frustrating. And I just think that if you have no truck traffic, those signs of no through truck traffic at those two entrances, I think you diminish the problem by 20%.
Well,
Of the accidents.
And
probably.
when they take a left turn, it stops 3 cars behind them from taking a left turn legally to go northbound on Lasser.
ultimately, at the end of the day, right, we're funded through gas tax dollars, so they are public roads, and so they are open for all public travel. Now, I don't know what the city can do ultimately with regards to that with the roads under your jurisdiction, but from our perspective, since we are funded through gas tax dollars, we can't prohibit trucks ultimately, since it is open. They are county primary roads, and so they are open to all public travel. So from that perspective, so just kind of summarizing here and getting through the rest of this presentation, from a signalized intersection, given that you folks would be partners, we'd request, city participation would be 50% of the construction and right-of-way costs. We did anticipate that to be ultimately total project cost at this time is around that $1.8 million mark, so that'd be around $900,000 plus or minus. From a roundabout option, it would be actually possible to have that project completed in advance of MDOT Woodward project. And the reason I say that is because we're working well within the existing footprint of the road. So there's not a lot of widening, changes to, or like other sorts of upgrades associated with that project. So that is something that we could possibly implement. And with regards to that, from a requested city participation, we would request the tri-party balance through 2027, which is about $182,000 as it stands today. And obviously, as you know, it's tri-party, so it's 1/3 community, 1/3 road commission, 1/3 Oakland County general government. So in summary, from a road commission perspective, preferred alternative is compact roundabout. We feel that it is an increased safety benefit for the roundabout. Better operational efficiency, provides more frequent downstream gaps. So you indicated that, a constant flow of traffic downstream of the roundabout. What happens typically with roundabouts, right? You don't have that same platooning you have with traffic signals. So like when a traffic signal turns.
What is platooning?
I'm just gonna explain that. Okay, so when your traffic signal turns green, a whole plug of cars, if you will, say 10, 20, 30 in a row, that whichever gets the green signal, that's called a platoon, and they kind of platoon down the road. And so then after that platoon, you would end up with gaps. Whereas at a roundabout, it is more frequent gaps, but they are shorter in duration.
Can't get
Okay.
across the street.
And so and so what you could possibly be experiencing today on Losser is that you have signals really at Long Lake, right, and Hickory Grove. And you have one platoon heading southbound on Losser, right, and you're sitting at your side street trying to get out, okay, and obviously there's cars impeding that exit. By the time that platoon clears, the northbound platoon comes through, and then it becomes very difficult to get between those platoons. Whereas with a roundabout, you have essentially more gaps. They are more frequent, but they are smaller. It's a lower cost than the signalized alternative, lower construction impact generally. So that's kind of where we're at right now, but we're here to listen, okay, and to.
Is there ever a stop sign before you enter?
I'm sorry, say that again?
I mean, would,
They are yield control from a roundabout perspective.
instead of a yield, can there be a stop sign?
Then you're at a four-legged stop intersection.
Well, we had a stop sign on Lasser, on the school, before they remodeled the school, and it ended up being a high school, became a middle school. The traffic seemed to be a lot safer
It was a lot better.
for everybody. And
So with that, we're here for questions, try to provide additional information. That's what our.
I'll open it up to the audience. Raise your hand, please, if you have a question or comment. Yes.
When you showed the roundabout, I want to make a statement and then I want to ask a question. When you showed me the roundabout, my first thing was I absolutely rejected it. I'll be honest. Because the first experiences I had with roundabouts were very confusing. And we have a lot of young drivers in that area, and it kind of made me think about young high school drivers. But then I also was thinking, if they're going very slow, and they have to go very slow, they're not gonna be going as fast until they get out by Square Lake. So I'm kind of thinking about this as a mother. And then I'm also thinking what you're saying about can't get out of your driveways, or the children cannot walk across the road. And I'm trying to get from you, like, you're saying we have these breaks. My father used to teach driver's training, and he'd say there's always a break in the traffic. There has not been a break in the traffic for a long time. And these people are upset and they're frantic. But you're saying mathematically, scientifically, in an engineering component, doing your study, you're saying when you look at cars in a roundabout, because they're, and I've seen studies where they do the platooning, but when they go steady and slow, there is time between the cars. It's not a run like the Dickens across the road for the kids. I mean, there would be time. At that time of day, though, is a really busy time. Is it driveway to go to work at that time? Can it handle the extra flow of the extra high school drivers that head up towards Andover? Will it account for the children who wanna walk up to that middle school or ride their bikes? There's just a lot of variables. It's an unusual intersection. Please consider all those variables. I think that's the emotion you're getting.
Could you please state your name and your address?
My name is Ann Cole, and I am at 2874 Colonial Way, in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, 48304.
A follow-up on, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I'm waiting to be. I have two questions. One, are the roads Lasser and Hickory Grove tractor trailer rated? Two, I understand what the traffic control study showed about left turn lanes, and there are lulls in left turning every once in a while. Would that be an intelligent intersection? And by that, I'm talking with the cameras that's looking at traffic flow to see how many cars we can let get turning left or turning right, dependent on the traffic bearing to the intersection from both distance, or from both directions. Intelligent intersection, they're out there everywhere. It should be an intelligent intersection.
Sure, I'll field that question first.
Okay.
Yes, it will be an adaptive, connected intersection. We've got about 900 of them in Oakland County right now.
Okay.
We have the second largest adaptive network running on SCATs
Okay.
in the United States, right behind Los Angeles. If you ever see most of our intersections, they have cameras, they have detection cameras that are downward facing.
Yep.
Or they have presence inductive loops that detect magnetic items in the roadway, axles on cars, where we have inductive pucks that detect it. So yes, it will be adaptive. We set a base timing, and we have what we call float that goes on there. It says, okay, if I've got cars wanting to turn left, if we've got a dedicated left turn phase, it will hold that. So we have a float where it goes, I'm detecting cars constantly. The gap between these vehicles is 2 seconds. I still have cars. I'm looking at it and it's going, okay, north, south. It's going to detect a vehicle and it's going to go, okay, we have a maximum amount of time that we'll let that phase go, that operation go.
Sure.
Once it gets to that time, it will stop.
Yeah.
So then it'll let the opposing directions go. What happens is if there's a gap of time where it does not detect present, it doesn't detect a new vehicle, it will say, we've given this leg enough time, I'm gonna take what's remaining on that time and I'm gonna shift it over to this other direction so that they can have more time to clear. Where you see this really operate well is when you have a whole corridor that is running adaptive and connected. This is when you get up to the light and it turns green just as you're approaching, and you're minimizing those delays.
Right.
That is the big plus with that. There are some issues with maintaining that as people accelerate in those interim gaps, and then they come up to the end of the platoon as they show up there. Then they have to stop, and it creates more problems. Or if you have the person that's on their phone at the green light and they don't go, well, now what happens is that signal detects that gap.
Oh.
And that signal goes, there's nobody there.
Be a honk.
So now, it won't continue and it won't extend that time. So that it's intelligent, and that intelligence is improving every day. But there are some human factors in there that come into play here.
But I notice a lot that the eastbound traffic on Hickory Grove, as opposed to westbound traffic on Hickory Grove at a certain time of the evening, it's 5 to 1. And with an adaptive system, it would make sense to me that you can allow more of the people that are not in the 200-foot queue.
To get through.
Dave, that's what I wanted on the Long Lake and Losser,
Because you're talking 10 cars in the queue on the right
because
side.
everyone's coming from the one
Yeah.
direction.
Yeah.
Certainly, and then your question as it's related to trucks, that section of Losser north of there and that section of Hickory Grove west of there, they are rated. I believe that is what we call a special designated loading, meaning that it does not Actually, that one, I'd have to look at the map.
If
'cause
you
that
put
is-
weight,
it's
if
probably
you put weight
seasonal.
limits on
That's
it.
probably a normal
Yeah,
loading.
it's load rated, during seasonal restrictions.
Should there be a restriction though in a residential area to not have semis driving down our, can we prohibit that?
No, we can't.
Okay, it's not a,
Can the city prohibit that? On
I don't
our
know-
roads?
I don't know,
Yeah.
I can't
We-
answer that question.
We have, we have that, we have, no truck signs on Hickory Grove. And, on Losser too, I believe it, don't we? Yeah. So we have the signs there.
The real problem,
They just don't look at it.
the problem we have emanates off of the extra traffic cutting down Hickory Grove, all in the township and up Gloucester. And that emanates to cause all our problems south in the Bloomfield side. Because people come out angry coming down Gloucester. There's no, I mean, if you could get a weight limit, if we got a weight limit, it would be a real good starting point. If we got what I raised an issue, we'll hear about the stop signs, some kind of, those strip things that people have to slow down. You know, that people don't, that they feel they're gonna hurt the tires because they're gonna hit the bump, or whatever they call those things. I mean, anything, but this is just an impossible environment because of Telegraph and Square Lake Road, nothing to do with the county, those are both state-funded highways. It's not your fault that you're here to face our burden. If you can help us put up truck signs or weight limits, it would
Well,
really
they
be,
clearly can't do that, but
can't you put up weight limits on there?
Well, it's open for all motoring public, so it's not load restricted, I mean, unless there is a bridge or a culvert that is substandard where we would put up a load restriction, but there are none that I'm aware of in that corridor.
thank you.
Please state your name and address.
Andy Hill, 236 Wendy Lane, Bloomfield Township. On the intersection option, is it possible to add restrictions, and maybe this is more of a Bloomfield Hills question, for no turn on red during school times?
At all.
At all, I like it all. Because that ends up being one of those areas where people can't quite see, and they peek out a little bit, and then we've got Jeremiah crossing the road over here, and it gets very unsafe, so I just wondered how that would work.
From the standpoint on right turn on red restrictions, state of Michigan allows them at any time, but we evaluate intersections based upon certain criteria. One of them is crash history. One of them is reported incidents of interactions with pedestrians and right turning vehicles. One of them is sight distance limitations. So this would be one of these issues where when the intersection is completed, before we open it up to traffic, our COC would go out there, we would evaluate that east leg and that north leg, and we would evaluate whether it warrants those restrictions. We would evaluate I said the east leg, I meant the west leg and the north leg. We would also evaluate the east leg and the south leg, and if we feel it is warranted, we would reach out to Bloomfield Hills and say, we evaluated this, we think there's a sight distance restriction here, we're recommending that the intersection be posted, no turn on red, whether it be 24/7, whether it be just during school hours. There's part of this that's depending upon what is driving that need. If it's a sight distance restriction, that exists 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So that would be a 24/7 restriction. If it's related to pedestrians crossing, going to the school, then it would likely be tied to the school hours. We've got restrictions.
can you
different
base it
spots.
on the fact that we can't get out of our subdivisions?
There are some locations where we've restricted right turn on reds to create additional gaps in traffic.
I know they do that.
I'm just
They
gonna be
do-
very direct about it. Without enforcement, the sign is useless. So if you put a sign up there, all that's going to do is that's going to keep the honest person honest. If you get somebody that stops and does not make that right turn on red, the issue is most drivers, when we put them up, we get a lot of complaints as a road agency that you put the sign up and now everybody's still turning right on red. Okay, that's an enforcement issue.
I disagree. I mean, I've been in a car, my brother got a ticket turning right on red on a light. He's from California, they don't have that, they didn't have that rule at the time, but so I never do.
I can't tell you how many people drive through the gas station at
Lasser and Long Lake and go through the gas station where it says no right turn, red, they go to the gas station, go to Telegraph, or break.
Instead of
or
breaking the
take
law next to
I mean,
the police station.
What, could you ever let us change our speed limit to 30 miles coming off of Long Lake and then changing it to 25 with the blinking lights to the south before the school starts, so people start taking it serious and don't go 48 miles, especially over the hill before a subdivision? I mean, something, I mean, you gotta look at what it looks like to the subdivision in ours. It's just,
From our view on the speed limit, we set speed limits in accordance with the state law. That requires a speed study evaluated with the Michigan State Police. The primary driving factor on a speed limit is the 85th percentile speed. That's the speed that 85% or more of drivers are traveling at or below. From what you are telling me, if drivers are traveling at an excessive speed, chances are, if the Michigan State Police conducts a speed study, chances are that speed limit is going to go up,
Even with school there?
even with the school there. That is a factor that is evaluated with it, that is considered an environmental condition, but that speed.
Oh, I thought
That
schools
speed
were
is
sacred.
evaluated at a free flow speed. You can establish a school speed zone. You have every ability to do that, but that's only in effect 30 minutes before educational hours begin and 30 minutes after educational hours cease.
I disagree. I got a ticket at 11 o'clock at night coming back from my son's hockey game right across from Groves High School on Evergreen. And they said, you're in a school zone. I go, it's 11 o'clock at night. They said, this is a school zone. You must be 25 miles an hour at all times. I got a ticket.
That's something that you'd have to talk to someone else. That's not my understanding. That's not my understanding of how a school speed zone is established or how it should be enforced.
Wow, okay.
you know, you wanted the roundabout there 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, that was my first experience with David when I called him up really upset about it. Because you wanted the roundabout, and our neighborhood we were opposed, most part because the judges, I'm a lawyer, the judges there, and we know who else is there, you know, we know everybody around in these subs, and I mean, I get worried about the roundabout. I'm almost rather have it like it is in the roundabout. Please don't take offense by that, but I mean, one of the problems, and part of the problem with Hickory Grove, which because people are going there, people go faster when they get out of the traffic lane going southbound on Lasser. Emotionally, you just go faster. And part of the problem is, you know, you got it open for like 2.5 cars maybe if you can sneak around, and everyone else gets stuck because people are taking a left turn, and the traffic can go back there for half a mile. I mean, they go back to Orange like, I can't get out of my driveway and my son's driveway, and I just, it's a conundrum because you build something for 1952 standards and we're in 2026. And how do we, I mean, it's the only way we can do this is by a roundabout, is that what you're effectively telling me?
Well, there's two options ultimately that was proposed this evening. One is a signalized option, right? And the other one is a compact roundabout. Going back, this, as stated, right, the signal is approaching 40 years old, probably not the most technologically advanced signal out there. It is in need of upgrading. So in order to get to that, it's essentially a new intersection with a signal or kind of a compact roundabout.
Like, I'm not gonna handle the people getting condemned, but where you had the magic words of right away. And I'm telling you, I mean, this person who's done eminent domain for 54 years, you know, your proposed costs for this project are a gross underestimation.
Well, at this point, and I don't mean to interrupt, but we don't anticipate much in terms of right-of-way physical acquisition. There may be a few temp easements because of the existing right-of-way that exists out there today. But folks also have to understand, the budding property owners, that they don't necessarily own everything in front of their house.
They don't own the 33 feet. There's
Well, or
33
60, well, there's 60. There's 60 out there as well. There's 43s and there's
Yeah, how big is
60s.
the,
Which ones are 60?
The northwest is, I know 60, I don't recall all of them off the top of my head. But there's a
so
mix.
can you go back to the map and show us what you're talking about? They have to carve out an extra lane if we put a signal in.
You can sort of
And
see.
how much,
Yeah, you can see
How much
that
real
he's-
estate do you need to get back in order to put that right turn lane in? Or the left turn?
I mean, you really have 33 feet. You can put 2 lanes in there and cause great misery. But my problem is the northeast quadrant there, I am convinced is a water hazard to America.
But you're talking about a whole road construction thing.
Oh, if you do a roundabout, I don't think you can do a roundabout. And my
Because
city,
it'll be flooded? It's like a hole there?
the cost of this roundabout is going to be so much more than you estimated. Is, you know,
So-
I would never I'd fight my city spending it, because I think the 1/3 would be a lot more than our early payments for the 2 entities on the pension today. I mean, that's off by $1.5 million. I'm
So
sorry.
at this location here, it does look like on the northwest, it's 60 along the Hickory
Okay.
Grove and Losser side. Along Losser on the northeast is 60 along Losser. 33 on Hickory Grove. 33.
So can you just tell us, what's existing and how much more you need?
Well, like I said, on this particular one here, we really haven't identified any additional right-of-way needs. What I'm saying is that at the end of the day, I may need a temp easement. That would be like
Temporary easement.
Temporary for grading, okay, but from a permanent acquisition, it does not appear that we would need much, if anything.
Good.
Great.
From a permanent perspective. So that, but also, just again, right? Folks who have trees in the right of way, walls, fences, that sort of thing, those things would be removed as part of the project. Obviously,
They'd be
we
upset.
may have some unhappy homeowners, at the end of the day, as a result. Not something that we can't work with the adjacent property owners, but, at the end of the day, we don't think that we need a lot of right-of-way or right-of-way acquisition. I've done
Okay.
a number of these types of projects in the past, and some need more right-of-way than others.
Yeah, you had the word right away there. I thought you were gonna really take a house out. That was the
No, no,
original,
no.
the original plan.
No.
The other component too with right-of-way, when we're talking signals and signal poles, is foundations for those signals and setbacks from those signals from the back of curbs. So,
Yep.
until we get into doing a design, finding out where the curbs are actually going to be, where our sidewalks going to be, where are things actually going to lay.
Well, that's true with the roundabout too, right?
No, not with the roundabout, because the roundabout's gonna stay in the existing footprint of the intersection.
Plus or minus in the existing footprint of the intersection.
Well,
So,
why is that so firm and this one's not?
Well, that one is because the compact fits with the amount of pavement that's out there today. Okay, because you have this wide expanse, so the pavement out there today at the intersection kind of flares out at the intersection. So there's more pavement there than what is normally on a 2-lane
Right.
intersection. And so we're essentially putting the roundabout on that existing pavement, for lack of better terms. And so there's not a lot of expansion as a result, not a lot of change. This year, there will be additional pavement, drainage changes, essentially likely the drainage system will have to be completely redone as part of this project in this particular.
So have you evaluated the flooding issues with the
No, we
roundabout?
haven't, no.
That's what
no,
I'm-
No, but
That's
I
what
mean,
we're
with
saying
regards to
might be an
changing
issue.
of curbs and changing of the existing footprint of the road, then you're getting into putting in new catch basins, additional storm sewer, and at that point, is it sized appropriately? There'll be more impervious area, so the drainage system will have to change as a result with the signalizing.
You have a few more comments.
So, yeah.
I just have one, I'm a pretty logical, practical guy. Is there any reason we can't put an adaptive light there now? Without changing any road, without doing any turnabouts?
It's a great idea.
Something to just improve the throughput.
the issue with the throughput that you've got today partially is because you don't have a center left turn lane out there. And you had mentioned it before, when you have somebody that wants to turn left at that intersection, that is going east and west, that first car stops.
I understand.
Then the second car who wants to turn left backs up behind them. They're stopped because they want to go left. That third car might be able to get by and squeeze by on the right,
Okay.
maybe. But the minute you get that third car that wants to turn left,
That's it.
that's it. You can't get anybody else through.
Okay, well, that's all well and fine on a fixed time
That's,
schedule.
that's the same truth on an adaptive signal, because it's not detecting any vehicles. Because in that through lane, it doesn't know where to detect, because you've got a combination, you've got a hybrid operation out there. You've got a lane and a half, lane and 3/4, almost 2 lanes that aren't defined. When we set up detection, where do we put our detection? We have to have a zone, and those are the lane markings that we put our detection based upon. We put them in between the lanes on the marked lines. Since this is effectively one lane that's flared out and people can go around them, but the cameras, the detection goes, there isn't a vehicle here because it's all queued up and they're stopped. You can put the smartest signal you want, but when vehicles are stopped and queued and they can't get to that point where they can go through, the problem isn't solved. The problem still exists.
Typically, the traffic impingement is eastbound Hickory Grove, southbound Lasser. Right? The traffic coming west and heading south are non-existent, for the most part, at peak hours. You're telling me that that traffic signal can't be adjusted to accommodate nobody coming west, so we're gonna let a ton of cars go east, so that 3 cars, you know what I'm saying?
No, I understand what you're saying, but it's still the same problem that you've got today. There's no cars coming westbound. There's no traffic going westbound. All that eastbound traffic, they can turn. They can make their maneuver.
Well, okay,
Your problem with eastbound Hickory Grove traffic going northbound on Lasser at that point is, if you let it open, so all of them came through, and the other people went straight who were going straight, you let that light stay green for 2 minutes, you would have them all locked up in 4 ways, because they couldn't get out on Square Lake anyways. And Square Lake has got a line. How often is Square Lake?
I'm just looking for a
I'm sorry.
quicker solution than 3 years from now or whatever.
And ultimately, right, at the end of the day, you know, we're here to listen to you folks, also the commission as well, right, to get to a point at which we can further design or go forward with a preferred design. And whether that be a signalized intersection or that be a roundabout option, that's really what we're
When you do it, we have one additional problem, and that's the kids should be able to walk to school freely. There's 35 kids in that subdivision to the north of us, and north of my Pine Ridge. We live next door to each other. And I don't see how the kids go to school. When I stop for those kids, it's like they're about to send me money or something, because no one stops for them. And it's ridiculous.
Our city attorney would like to make a comment.
I just wanted to comment just for efficiency. Typically, you allow each person to speak once, and comments should be directed to the board and not a conversation. So
I know, but this is really an emotional issue.
I
This is-
understand that.
We're
I'm just
rubbing our
pointing
guts
out how it's usually done.
Yeah,
We're happy
this
to
is
hear
not-
more than once from
Yeah,
whoever.
normal, we don't.
I was just hoping for efficiency's sake too, there's some folks that came out tonight just to know this is happening, and we appreciate you guys making the presentation, actually giving us 2 options. For the sake of time, I think maybe even just folks in the crowd might, provide some of their feedback on 1 or 2. That way we can maybe stop talking about one if we don't care about the other one, even though,
Would you guys
Like
go,
a vote?
would that be okay with you? That'd
Would
be,
be-
there's a lot of folks, I don't know how long you're able to stay. I'd hate for them to have to leave and then not have their voices heard with regard, but at least.
do you want to ask everybody in your subdivision area or there?
Yeah.
What do you want? You want to send out something and get back?
Well,
to
no,
us?
let's just get a straw vote.
Yeah,
Like,
where are
it
you?
doesn't, it's not in stone,
Did you
but
answer your question?
No.
Do you want to ask your question?
Please,
Yes.
please do.
My thing is, the reason why my son always try to get hit right there on the upper left right there is because the tree is as low as me, and I'm 4'11". So it's covering the people, and they really can't see when they try to turn. They just can't. That tree just hovers around. So it's, yeah. In the upper left-hand corner where the green is,
Never
that tree
identify
just
yourself.
hovers over the side.
is that on someone's property? We can't touch it?
Okay, back to what you were saying now.
I mean,
Mayor Pro Tem, if I could just ask, there's two individuals that have spoken, I haven't gotten your names. If you could please give your name and your address.
I'm Kenya Vincent, 100 West Hickory.
Thank you. And gentleman with the adaptive light, what was your name and address?
My name is Tom Westman.
Thank you.
I'm at 2839 Colonial Trail.
Thank you.
Just for sake of clarity, it's the tree that's in the farthest right corner
Yeah.
that she is referring to.
Is that in the right
It's
of
in the
way?
township.
In the right of way.
You handle it?
Yes. My
Okay.
name is Tracy Rumps. I live at 295 Applewood Lane. Very concerned. I've got a son that goes to North Hills Middle School. He's scared to cross the intersection. There's been several near misses there. He's been honked at by cars. I mean, it's a really scary thing as a parent to have your kid go out there. And I really think that there needs to be a crossing signal similar to what is down there at Lasser and Long Lake. That is what's needed. So these kids, so the cars know when to stop, the kids know when they can cross properly. And I'm not in favor of the roundabout. I just, it's gonna increase the amount of traffic that's flowing through this area. This is a residential area. And the children, coming to and from North Hills, it's gonna make it more difficult for them to try and cross if there is a roundabout. So definitely not in favor of that. I love the comment about no trucks, going down Hickory Grove and Lasser. If that could be something that would be implemented, that would be wonderful. But I guess as we all know, people are flying from the expressway, they cut through, Lasser to Hickory Grove to get out to Telegraph and then vice versa. I don't know if there's any way that we could make it, if somebody could do a study, make it more desirable for all this traffic to be flowing, through Telegraph to Franklin over that way. Is there any way to clean up that portion of that intersection so that people aren't going to want to cut through there? Because it's not as just as much as people cutting from Lasser and Hickory Grove. Then they're cutting through those subdivisions down Aspen Lane and Chestnut Run, and it's insane. I see these, there's kids playing out there, and these cars are whipping down these subdivisions. I feel like there has to be some way to reduce just the amount of cars. Make it less desirable to bring cars down this area.
Would you be willing, and would the county be willing to at least give us safety strips to slow traffic down on Lasser? I mean, you came here because of Lasser because we were on you about Lasser. That's what this started. You brought the roundabout. I didn't know it was coming. I mean, would you give us safety strips on Lasser right now and alleviate at least our most immediate problems for the kids getting across the street and for people getting in and out of the two subdivisions? Would you do that? I mean, have you
talking about rumble strips?
Yeah. If you tell us what the cost is and you can't find the money, I think that money will be found.
Depending on which section of Lasser, if it is a section that the city controls, you guys can install those. Where that's your choice, that's your stretch of roadway, you guys can do that on your stretch of Lasser. I will tell you from our experience, my experience at the road commission, when we install them, we get nothing but complaints from the adjoining residents about the sound. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Really?
It's effective to get drivers' attention, but the counterpoint is it's intrusive on people's lives.
How about don't they have a bumper or something that doesn't make that noise?
Is there anything else that you'd recommend?
There are several options and that are out there that are effective for traffic calming. There's lots of different options. Depending on what the roadway use is, depends on how effective they are. I'm not going to comment on what you guys can do as a city on your stretch of road. That's not my role here.
Well, we'll see outside the meeting.
And subdivision roads and different uses, that's a different thing. And there's all sorts of options that I'm sure your guys as engineers can provide you with different options on how to do some speed control options and how to do some traffic calming on roadway sections. There's lots of them out there that are available. Now, what the benefits are, what the cons are, that's up for somebody else to decide on that stretch of road.
Okay.
But do you hear that all of us are concerned about the flow? And that's why
Absolutely. This is a roadway section that's bounded by 3 major arterial roadways. You've got Telegraph, you've got Woodward, and you've got Square Lake Road. This is the byproduct of having an older established community that is surrounded by major trunk lines. This is not a unique problem to just you guys. This is a problem that's experienced in transportation engineering across the United States. This is the same problem that's experienced a lot in European communities. The issue that you've got here is there is a lot of excess traffic on these other trunk lines right now because of construction that's going on other sections of roadways. And we have seen it on our stretches of Lasser Road, the amount of traffic that's increased due to 696 being closed. Everybody's trying to get up to Square Lake, to get to I-75 or to get to Woodward.
Yep.
And what's happening is they're finding alternative routes. The other problem here is the prevalence of mapping applications, okay? You have Google, you have Waze, you have Apple Maps. Where these particular mapping applications get their information from is your cell phone. When you are driving, you are providing them GPS information. You are letting them know every time you use these apps where you are going, where you are driving at. So what these applications do is they're not taking your identifying information, but they're taking your route, and they're saying, historically, if I go down this subdivision and I can make this right and I make this left, I can save 3.2 seconds on your route.
That's right.
And I'm gonna present that to you as an option because it's saving you 3.2 seconds.
It's ways really, you're right.
Now, we as a road agency, we have tried to get these applications not to do that. We have yet to be successful. We've lobbied our legislature to prevent this from happening. They have not taken that up as a point that they're interested in. I don't know what to do beyond that other than to say, unfortunate, this is the byproduct of what's happening when this information is out there and it's readily available. We have difficulty when we close roads as a road agency. We've removed bridges. My app told me that's where I need to go. When we replaced the bridge by Yates Cider Mill, we had a gentleman drive his 3-day-old Ford F-150 in the Clinton River.
Oh.
That's what his app told him to go there. And I'm being a little bit, that's a true story, but I'm being a little bit facetious in my delivery because this is what you guys are telling us. You know, this is what we're hearing not just from you guys, but from a lot of people. And this is a very unique location because you are bounded by some pretty large roadways. And when those roadways get slowed down and backed up, people are going to seek an alternate route. It's unfortunate that it happens to be your guys' community. You know, somebody had mentioned those about Franklin Road and up at Telegraph and Square Lake and that area. That's under the jurisdiction of MDOT. They have those controls. I don't know if MDOT has ever looked at reevaluating doing those course changes. I know when they looked at redoing Square Lake Road, particularly at the Opdyke interchange, there was a lot of public dialogue about changing that ramp and how that was done. MDOT's very open about receiving input. So if you do want to bring that point up to MDOT, please contact them. They're just like us. They are more than willing to hear the comments.
Robin Coy, 216 Wendy Lane. I deal with this every day. Like you can see my house from all those pictures you were showing. So every day on my way to work, my husband on his way to work, on our way home. I can handle the traffic because I'm my biggest concern is these kids walking. Someone's gonna get hit. I watch it every morning. two cars like, horns honking, almost got in an accident. I mean, like, 20 seconds, maybe 20 seconds. I mean, someone's gonna get hit. Someone's gonna get hit by a car, and it's gonna be a kid. So, at the beginning, you talked about, like, people saying if there's pedestrian issues. I'm great at being a squeaky wheel. I'll call every single time I see a kid almost get hit. But it's
That's why I think you should consider
it's
this more
gonna
urgent than you are, and saying, oh, you have to wait till after the, you know,
I-
the
I
Woodward
didn't- I
thing, we
didn't-
can't do it, we
hold
can't get
on.
it done
I
in
didn't say it
2
wasn't
years.
urgent. It's a matter of appropriate planning, design, getting it to letting. Now, if the community can handle concurrent construction projects, if they can handle construction during school year, with a closure, that sort of thing, I mean, it doesn't mean to say that it can't happen sooner, but from when we look at project scheduling, making sure we have an appropriate design, because if the design isn't appropriate, we'll hear about it. And when we close multiple roads at the same time, we generally hear about it. Because didn't you guys coordinate your project with MDOT's project, or didn't you coordinate with the schools, or didn't you do, and yes, we attempt to. It's not that we're not looking for it to be urgent, that's not the case, I'm just being, I guess, realistic.
Well, I think the urgency supersedes, oh, we gotta wait till the kids are out of school and do it in the
Well,
summer,
like I
so
said,
that
I
means we have to
don't-
wait till after that,
Like
so
I said,
that-
I don't have to.
Well, it
Okay,
makes
okay.
sense what you're saying.
But,
If you
but
close,
ultimately, there will be probably a lot of other folks who would be upset, hey, why did you do this, that?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it can't be done.
you know,
Generally speaking,
So you
we
think
just
it
try
could
not
be
to.
done if they put it in front of other projects that are looming out there, and it could be done before the Woodward project started in
Not a
a year
signalized
and a half?
intersection, not a signalized intersection. Because of the amount of planning that's required for the
Makes sense.
reconstruction of the intersection.
you know, if you do this while you're doing Woodward,
No, I'm not saying why, it just seems like they could get it done before.
no, I don't think so. If they tried to do it while they were doing, while Woodward's being done, we might as well rent a hotel room on the way, you know, down at Woodward and Long Lake or something.
Nicole Hill, 236 Wendy Lane. I'm just wondering if there's a chance of doing just at least the pedestrian crosswalk light up signs in, you know, as a first project. And then if it needs to be 2 or 3 years before the whole entire intersection, because it's two separate issues, right? So the traffic flow, and that may take a little longer to figure that out and to vote on and to do all the planning for that. But it seems to me like we could maybe just see where those crosswalk signals maybe go.
That's a great idea, and put a no turn on red,
Yeah, I mean.
no turn
solve
on
at
red,
least that
and then the
one
kids
problem.
wouldn't get hit when they're crossing.
Right.
because they're not stopping. The
Right.
cars are not stopping
Right.
before they turn. They're rolling through, and that light or that tree that she was talking about is right there too. So, and they're little. They're not. These are not like big
When-
people. They're middle school children. 12.
I'll bring a couple of points up. So when it obviously controls the driveway to the school, but that crossing guard, what that crossing guard does is it's an adult, they've got their stop paddle, it's fully enforceable, that stop paddle. They make eye contact with that first driver, and then once they hold up that first driver, nobody else is gonna get by. Those kids can cross that road. That is a very effective tool that will add a significant amount of safety in the interim for students. Now, granted, it is just limited to school times, so that's the shortcoming of anybody else that goes through that intersection. They don't get that same benefit. But that is a very effective tool for you guys as parents, and you guys as a city to make that request to the school district.
What about just the light up crosswalk signals?
Though you can install those at a signalized intersection, because you can get conflicting messages. If you've got a red light and then you see a yellow strobing light, what's the driver to?
I'm not sure if I'm using the right language. I'm talking about like the hand and the walking person.
Gotcha. No, understand.
We had that at Long Lake.
The structure, the signal that's out there today physically cannot support those devices. It has to be replaced to support that. It doesn't have enough plugs to run the electricity to it effectively.
May we ask,
Can we let him speak?
Patrick Rums, 295 Applewood Lane. I agree with this, it's two issues here, safety versus efficiency. This picture that we're looking at is probably the most modern version that we have. They put some signage up that there's crosswalks there, but that's it. And it even took work to get those installed. This is very recent, and this is an old intersection. So it took that much time and work for people to put stripes on the road and a couple of signs up. There's no lights, there's no signal for these kids to cross. My kid goes to middle school. We've got kids all over the neighborhood riding scooters, skateboards, there's runners, there's dog walkers. Every morning it's a platoon headed north on Lasser. At night it's a platoon headed north and south on Lasser. You get Garrison from this intersection all the way back to Telegraph every single day. I think the safety is the bigger thing because people are blowing down Lasser at 40, 45, 50 miles an hour. Then they hit this hill and they coast up the hill to the top, so they lose all their speed and they're doing 25 by the time they get to the top.
No, they
Slow
don't.
down for the school.
No, they get stuck at the red light there, and then when they leave that red light going southbound on Lasser, they go 45 or 50 because they want to catch up. Because I turn off of Orange Lake at 28, and all of a sudden this car's honking at me, passing me by at the bottom of the hill.
They won't get you to flip
It's
the line.
awful.
You do the speed limit right on the money and people ride their tail the whole way. And then it's a race from Woodward to Telegraph as well. So, I mean, you're looking at an intersection in a school zone, just south of the school zone, because the speed limit changes to 25 here, where kids are crossing the school. No, sorry. So I think as far as efficiency and trying to improve the flow through there, I mean, this is a neighborhood street. This isn't a surface road. This is a bypass. This is a neighborhood that people are cutting through to get to the freeway. Yeah, they need more control.
We have one last person.
Okay, I gotta leave after this, but, my name is Kenya, 100 West Hickory. I was thinking, what if we have radar? I know the police officers can't be there because it's such a tight spot, but can we do radar enforced? Cause it's like surprisingly, if you go down in Birmingham, you wonder why driving 35? Cause it has signs that says radar enforced, so maybe we can consider that, I don't know, but I got it.
Yeah.
Can we do a straw vote on how many of the residents would like the roundabout and how many would prefer the stoplight, just to get a sense of how these people feel?
How many people prefer the roundabout? How many prefer the stoplight? Yes, the lady in the back.
I'm Jacqueline Raymond, 2824 Mill Lane. I also have a student who attends Northwest Middle School. I am in favor of the signal intersection, just so, and I would like to also be in favor of signal green left turns. I feel like that is probably the main turns that almost hit kids when they're crossing both directions.
So the more sophisticated version is what?
Yeah. Ultimately, that would be determined or analyzed, from a signal moving perspective, if it's warrants.
I know you're gonna analyze it, but then,
Yeah,
please take,
understood. Yeah.
please listen.
Get it?
Yeah.
Yeah. We heard it.
Yeah, we currently don't have the left
You don't-
turn
you don't.
signals, and just like they stated before, the kids or us pedestrians in the community have the right of way to cross at certain times, and we are getting honked at, and we're like, the kids come home and they're like, I got honked at, I thought I crossed at the right time. I'm like, no, I'm sure you did. It's just people try to shoot through there because they don't have a true time to turn, so they're just shooting through and they're not paying attention to the kids crossing.
Chief King, is there any place that you could, have designate an officer at different times to assist, or to, to ticket these people that almost run over these kids?
Enforcement, and you're talking about two different issues. You're talking
No, I'm not suggesting you be a crossing guard, but I'm suggesting that there be some kind of enforcement for the speeding and the people that are being aggressive towards pedestrians.
So yes, there is, that intersection is shared between us and Bloomfield Township, and we've had many discussions, myself and the chief there, and the traffic section there. We've had, constant.
It comes from the school board asking the school district
We have
to
discussions with
do
the
that,
school.
that might be more than.
We have been talking to them about the speeding. and about
Posting is not the
the-
same as making that happen.
I know that
Those
the
are two different
chief,
issues.
can speak to that.
Chief,
That's not the
Chief,
same
answer
as
that question.
making sure it's filled.
If they request.
You did, Chief, did you
Chief
have
would like to address
discussions
your
with the
question.
School district about a crossing guard? Pardon me?
I don't wanna talk over them.
Sorry.
No, as part of the study I did connect with the school district, I did talk with the, safety board. They were involved as one of the external stakeholders here, as many of the people, in the gallery tonight, I had discussions with. There were a lot of different factors that went into some of the things we did, and there were multiple issues. One issue may solve another issue and may create a bigger hazard, and that's to try to give you guys some cover up there. You wanna do it right, you don't wanna do it wrong and create other issues, kind of dirty water downstream, you don't wanna do that. We did work with the school districts, actually, by law, correct me if I'm wrong, the police department is responsible for, crossing guards, hiring crossing guards. So it's not the school district. I've asked to work with the school district, and they said, absolutely, get out there and get on it. It is a very difficult job to, I've done this 31 years at 2 different police departments. One of the most difficult things you can do is to hire and maintain a staff of crossing guards. Because nobody wants to work hour or half hour. And nobody wants, you're gonna typically get retirees, you're gonna get parents that are stay at home. You can get some of that, that don't wanna get up in the morning and go out in the pouring rain and stand out there, because whether the children are out there to cross, getting driven, those crossing guards have to be out there. So staffing it, you have to do background checks, you have to have people go through, we actually did psychological exams on because what we don't wanna do is hire somebody who is going to, target a child. So there's a lot of different things that go into this and doing it the right way. But that is that was probably one of the biggest challenges. I've had, conversations with the chief over there, in Bloomfield Township, and the school district. So it is a factor, it is something we worked on, it's something that I included in my, my review, but my review took some time, and had a lot of different factors, so, we're, one of the things, and I wanna be fair to these gentlemen and the people that do this, everything started off on safety. The inference that safety and time and we don't care is wrong. I'm just saying that, it's wrong. My whole job is safety-based. And that was the first study. When we went out there, we talked about standing out there and having cops out there looking at kids crossing. You know, we looked at options. Are there busing routes that go through Wynwood? Are there busing routes that pick up at Pinewood? I try to be as thorough as possible on all the questions that that's important to people. And one of the things that we are very cognizant of, I'm very cognizant of, is we're talking about people's families and loved ones. Nothing I can say is going to take that away from what is important to you guys, to all of us. And nothing I can say with data and observations and videotape, your perceptions and feelings are always going to skew reality. And I'm just being honest.
Well, they're real experiences, so that's why.
I'm sorry?
They're real experiences that they.
I understand that, but if you're late for work and you're stressed out and you're thinking about 3 or 4 other things that we all do multitasking, that light will look like it took you a half hour to get through that. And it might not. And so I'm just saying, there's a lot of different factors that go into this. But first and foremost, safety, and I've harassed these gentlemen quite a bit myself up there in my study. So I think they refuse my emails or block me or won't get my calls. But safety is paramount, and we are doing on the Bloomfield Hills side of things. I can't speak for anybody else. Oakland County has been great. HRC's been great. All of our partners have been great. We are moving quickly, one of the things that, some of you said was, why can't we just get a sign? Why can't we just get the school district or, the school speed zone? We're working on that right now.
But Chief, is it possible to get some crossing guards together to work with Bloomfield Township's police to get some crossing guards out there? Because it seems like there's an immediate need.
It's not only a logistical and hiring, it's a budgetary issue also. I mean.
Does it cost that much?
Well, typically what.
We'll pay half of it right away. We'll find the money. If you find the people, we'll figure out how to find the money, because these people who live in the township can go to that meeting too. We didn't need Bloomfield. We live in it close enough that the people who are in the subs near there are on the board. And the township people will get their share from their township. We're gonna get it done. If you talk to them, we'll get it done. If you can find the people, I mean, the real problem is we're worried about a prowler being the guard. That's the scary thing, the liability issue. I agree.
We know how to do it, but it's not an easy thing to do. We maintained a staff of 7 or 8 in Farmington Homes, and we lost 2 or 3 a year.
I'm surprised you kept them that long.
Yeah, well, we also had to pay them, I wanna say we were paying them upwards of $42 an hour. Because you're paying them for an hour.
Only 2 hours,
They're
right?
only out there for a half hour.
Yeah, you should have done it like I did at Pasture over on 7 Mile in Livernois. We used to volunteer. We had these little white vans, and it was really cool. That's what it was like in the old days.
But if I'm.
72 years ago.
Those are student crossing guards, correct?
Yeah, the kids.
The school-based.
Yeah, can a teacher from the school be a crossing guard?
Absolutely not, ma'am. They almost threw me out of the building when I recommended.
Okay.
Okay.
Absolutely not, ma'am.
No, I trust you. I
We'll
just,
look into it.
not in their union, I'm sure.
We're talking about basically 100 hours a day for, it's $24,000 to make people feel like they have a right to go to school and be educated for the kids. And why don't you, if you could find the people and to pay, we'll get the township, and I think the city has got a pretty good budget, and that's something that protects kids in the city pretty good. And if we can't educate them, there's no reason.
We're talking about these individuals being posted on Bloomfield Township's.
Yep,
site.
and the city. That subdivision north of us needs to be protected somehow.
Absolutely. I just want to be clear.
Okay.
Our people are going to be on the north side of Hickory Grove and then west side of Lost Lake.
Possibly, yeah.
Township would have to do
Yeah,
that.
and the kids might have,
Township has to
and
do
the kids
that.
from, the kids
We
from.
can't, I don't want to be liable for what they do.
I mean, we'll have to figure it out, but we just can't continue to have these kids endangered. Because I don't want the city council going to funerals.
Look into it.
I think that wraps it up. Maybe, thank you,
Thanks.
Jeff and Alex.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. What do you need
Thank you, everyone,
from
for
us
coming.
at this point? Anything or?
Well, I think at some point here in the near term, what we as the road commission would like, from essentially the commission is, direction ultimately in terms of, because there's a financial commitment, right? There is, some options, right? And that can be done via resolution, just so that we're on the same page, right? And then that would, unlock us to move forward with design.
How does it have to coordinate with Bloomfield Township, though? I mean, we have to
Well,
get their commitment as well, correct?
Well,
No, you have to
Bloomfield,
vote as a group, and you
honestly,
couldn't do it today. You have
the
to do it
reason
next
from,
month.
with Bloomfield Township,
Can we wait a month?
they don't own any of the legs, so 2 of the legs are under your jurisdiction, so that's from a financial commitment perspective.
Maybe.
And so
Would the township have, so the signal, if it's this, I know that no one's interested in the roundabout, but that's a tri-party issue, so there'd be funding 3 ways. This is different. The signaled approach, we're 2 legs of that, right?
Yes.
So we're $900,000 of the 1.8 million, and that's probably light, so it could be more money. Does the township have any part of that? So, in other words,
at this point, no, because we would pick up on the township side, because those 2 legs are ours.
so we wouldn't need to collaborate with the township over that if it's a signal issue. So the commission can work on making a decision if they want this signal issue. They should take into consideration the costs, and probably you have to make a decision together, and as soon as you can, as a group.
Yeah.
May I-
And so.
Can we get a grant for this?
We could work at it.
I don't think so, but yeah, I don't know.
May I, have you ever, in this community, gone to the local subdivisions and written to the people in the subdivisions so they have some say? We have only 2 subdivisions directly involved in this in the city, on the city side. I mean, should we be writing to the subdivisions to find out what their thoughts are? I just don't know.
Well, a handful, but not.
No.
As far as, do you mean by what the options are and that sort of thing?
Yes.
We certainly can send out some correspondence if you'd
Could
like
you
us to do that.
Yeah, just to the 2 subs, because they're the ones who have the irons in the.
And
fire.
ultimately, we have, just so that you know,
Yeah.
also, from the township's perspective, we have shared the same information with them,
Sure.
with you folks. And they were, I don't wanna say they were impartial, they said, well, either option ultimately is, we're good with either option. So from that perspective, they didn't opine, on one or the other, to my knowledge. But we did share the same information with those folks.
You have an additional, so let's say the commission's interested in this signal option. Is there a process, or in this process, there's an additional meeting with the public over this?
Generally speaking, like if we rely on you as community leaders, to kind of, provide that direction, we
Okay.
generally, wouldn't go out and kind of have a vote, if you will. But what we would do is, as plans get developed, we do go out and have public meetings, so we invite folks to come in and see, but at that point,
Decision's been made.
It's a done deal. Money's out the door.
The option's been selected, so that, because when folks come out, then they can ask, hey, what about, they kind of get down into the details.
Okay.
We find that it's not too productive to, go out and ask general public, hey, what do you think? Because what ends up happening, like in terms of selection of options, because you folks come out and say, hey, we want a signalized intersection, and then your neighbor says, hey, I'm all in for roundabouts, and it's just chaos, in essence, okay? And we don't get to a resolution. And so that's why we do look to our community partners, kind of to take the pulse, if you will, and provide that direction so that we're all on the same page and we kind of just move forward. And ultimately, we do have public meetings though, as the plans are developed.
So it's fair to say that the faster you get this determination from the city commission, the faster you start your
That's correct.
planning.
Yes, that we would start, we would move into design and move things forward.
But no matter, there's no chance of it getting done before the other projects
Right.
starts.
Well, from a signalized intersection, no, at this point. Just because of the amount of effort that's gonna take to get the project to.
Could you at least tell us you would try?
Well, I'm just being realistic, like, I deal with 30 to 40
promise
projects a
you
year,
can't.
so
I will let you know one thing from a design perspective and from a construction perspective. When it comes to traffic signals are what we call a long lead time item, okay? They have to be fabricated for each individual location.
Ask us about signs.
Well, it is very similar, but if the and I'm getting way deep in the weeds, but if somebody decides they want to go with a more ornamental design and they want to have a mast arm out there so that it's not wires hanging over the road. We have some communities like Birmingham, for example, that like to have mast arms over their roads. Right now, the lead time on a mast arm is about 14 months. That's from when we submit a set of engineered drawings to them. It is 14 months for the contractor to order it, for them to fabricate it and deliver it onto the site. That is just how long it takes to make them. There are only 3 manufacturers in the United States that make that. None of them are located anywhere near Michigan. So these are long lead time items. It's not just a matter of finishing a design and putting it in the ground. That timeline that Jeff presented was, we're assuming we're going to put a box fan signal up with 4 poles on each corner and wires going across. And that is the most straight. And right now, That's
Those
about
are
a
6 months.
6-month
Those
lead
are-
time on those signal poles.
Just on the signal poles alone and the controller cabinet.
Okay.
Well, in the interest of time, I don't think I've heard anything to the contrary. I mean, it sounds like we want the signalized intersection with the option to do the green left, right? And we want the left turn lane. I haven't heard anything else. Nobody wants the roundabout. I'm a little bit conflicted about that because you've recommended it as the best option, yet we're not. I
Right.
think the only problem I have with that is I just don't understand how pedestrians navigate that, because there's really not a light that stops the traffic to let the people across. So that's my only problem with that, but it seems to me like we've made a decision here, and in the interest of time, do we need to wait another month to?
No,
I mean,
you can make a decision.
I feel
today.
like
Yeah, I mean,
I've heard what I need to hear.
No,
I mean,
can
I
I-
guess it's up to the commission ultimately.
Can we ask you something? Can you put in a four-way red for all ways and have a walk sign every 3 minutes or 5 minutes and give
Well,
a walk
we've got to, there's two competing things here. You've got to consider flow, and the flow is not going to go away, and you're not going to help flow by slowing flow. You need to get the flow through.
Giving the kids a safe chance to walk the
And
street.
you need to do it safely.
But-
And then you've got to provide provisions to get pedestrians across, but if
Yeah, I mean.
a four-way stop is not.
The only
gonna-
other thing to do is if
No,
you did
just for
the, I
so
mean,
the kids could
forgive
walk
me for
across.
bringing this up, but if you did the roundabout and then you did a stop sign on Losser a little bit further down with a crosswalk where the school is. And then the traffic would flow through and then people would still stop so people could cross.
My eyes tell me that a roundabout there is gonna be far more expensive than the estimate because of the water issue.
If you were to decide tonight, we can work on the financing component of it. That would just, because that would be that wouldn't be this next budget anyway. It would be the following budget, I believe, so that could be something that we'd have discussion on it. And in the meantime, we certainly would look at opportunities for funding outside the general fund.
Would we do a motion for that?
For this, I would vote on this, definitely. If you're interested in doing
Would
it.
anyone like to propose a motion?
A lot of money, but
It's gonna be, it's close to $1 million probably.
that's a lot of money.
It's,
Or
I hear-
conversely, knowing, so what we could also do too, right, I could go back and talk to management, okay? As well, right, I'll take your comments back that I received today to management. It doesn't mean to say that we can't start in advance of, say, a resolution, okay? And we can reach out to Dave Hendrickson and kind of have those conversations here over the next month, and then perhaps there might be something on a future commission meeting, and we kind of take it from that perspective. But here, knowing what I hear today, okay, I'll take that back ultimately, and we can further those conversations if that's acceptable to everyone.
You're 24 months from doing the job because of the other wood.
Yeah, there's no rush
So
because.
the wait for 1 month would make,
Yeah,
you know.
and again, we can have some more conversations back and forth, and I can talk to my management. 'Cause
And we can
ultimately, I'm
communicate
just the
with
design
everybody in all those subdivisions as well.
So,
This is the correspondence.
all right,
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you for your presentation.
thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Nice seeing you, Jeff.
Joe, you see one other?
What did he
Thank
say?
you. Appreciate it, good job.
What did he say?
I'm going to move on. Next
sure we'll be seeing
item
each other
on the
again.
agenda is the commission will consider an appointment to serve
Across the
Preservation
Avenue.
Bloomfield.
So, maybe Commissioner Baxter wouldn't mind taking this one?
Sure. So I've served as a board member of Preservation Bloomfield, representing the city of Bloomfield Hills. In addition to myself, the city has been represented for many years on Preservation Bloomfield Board by Michael Duell, who's a former city commissioner, mayor, and president of Preservation Bloomfield now. Mr. Duell has recently retired, relocated to Florida, and the board of Preservation Bloomfield requested that I provide recommendations for a replacement appointment. I'm suggesting that city resident Chris Bauer for this role. Chris has had an interest in preservation and history of the city, along with a skill set that would be helpful for the organization's mission and fundraising initiatives. This is before you today as the Bloomfield Hills City Commission appoints the community representatives to serve Preservation Bloomfield. I provided some information with Ms. Bauer's application and correspondence previously, so you've got that for your review. Is there any comment or?
I would just like to say I support this wholeheartedly. I've known Chris for as long as she's been on the Trowbridge Farms board, and she is excellent. I know firsthand she did complete all the things that she said in her resume, in her letter that she sent to the board, and she's very intelligent, she's very dedicated, she knows how to build community spirit, and she knows a lot about the history of the city already, and she has a great love for the city, so I couldn't think of anyone better.
Did you make that as a motion already?
Yeah, may I make a motion?
Do we have a motion to appoint
approve her
her?
appointment?
I move to approve Chris Bauer,
Second.
board member
All in
of Preservation
favor?
Bloomfield.
Aye.
Aye.
Next on the item is item number 8. The commission will consider appointments to serve on the planning commission as recommended by Mayor McCarthy. It's Randall Miller and Lee Gesquire. We had 2 people on the planning commission recently resign. They're taking their place. Randy Miller's, his tenure would be May of 26 through January of 29, and Lee Gesquire's would be May of 26 through January of 28.
Second.
I would like to, yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving right along. The next is item number 9. The commission will consider the bid results and award the contract for the Chesterfield Road Culvert Rehabilitation Project. That would be Leah Michaels.
I'm already here.
For you.
Thank
you.
Good evening, Leah Michaels with HRC. Sandra stole a little bit of my thunder during her budget presentation earlier, so most of the stuff you already know, but just wanted to quickly refresh everyone's memory on how we got here. So the Chesterfield Road culvert, there are 2 twin culverts along Chesterfield that we started talking about back in 2022. The city does biannual inspections of these culverts. Back in 2022, we identified that they were in need of repair. Currently, there are weight limit restrictions along Chesterfield Road and deterioration within the culvert. Back in 2024, the city was able to secure funding, $1 million from community project funding to rehab this culvert. So for the past 2 years, we have been going through environmental reviews and other processes that came as a part of that money, which recently we did put the project out to bid. The city put it out to bid, and we received 4 bids on the project. So that's what we're here to talk about today, is to recommend that this contract get awarded to Michigan Bridge Construction, who was the low bidder on the project, as well as we have followed up with them, found that they are qualified to do the work, have done recent work in the area. To speak just a little bit to the project costs, as we mentioned, there is $1 million grant amount. So just kind of budgets of what we have. The environmental review is complete. That grant amount did fund that review process that went through. There's also a budget for city administration, which is Sandra's time for invoicing and work that she has to do with the grant. The construction bid came in at $546,000, $426.08, which is similar to kind of where we hoped the bid would come in at. We also have a budget in here for construction, engineering, and then contingencies. So right now, we're estimating the total project cost to be a little over $700,000. Again, in line and below the grant amount that the city has to complete this project. So what's before you today for consideration is award to Michigan Bridge Construction to complete this project. And then we also ask for authorization that the city manager can execute the signed contract books with the contractor. If you approve that tonight, the project will move forward. The construction schedule is scheduled to begin end of June, early July. The final completion is by November of this year. And then during construction, there will be a time when Chesterfield Road will be closed in order for the contractor to safely complete their work on the culvert.
I have a question. Their bid is so much lower than the next lowest bid. It's almost $200,000 lower, and apparently you decided it's also below the probable cost. Is that a problem? Have they explained how they can do it for so much less?
Yep, we did reach out to them. We requested that they provide information on the materials that they were going to use, their schedule for completing it, and everything that they were able to show us showed that they can do it for that price. So we are comfortable with that.
Okay, are we ready to make a motion regarding the bid submitted by Michigan Bridge Construction LLC for the Chesterfield Road Culvert Rehabilitation Project in the amount of $546,426.08, which was the lowest qualified bid received, subject to the contractor supplying the required bonds and insurance certificates, and authorizing our city manager to sign the contract books when executed by the contractor and verified by HRC.
Second.
So moved.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Moving on. The next item is item number 10. The commission will consider the findings of the traffic study of Lasser Road. Presentation from Leah and also another one from our chief.
Excited again to have another agenda item tonight. This one is something that I'm a little more interested in, being that my specialty is traffic engineering. So this is something that I do often and I really find to be very interesting. Not that culverts aren't, but this is kind of where I like to be. So Lasser Road, we heard a lot about the intersection of Hickory Road and Lasser, so I'm not going to speak to that right now. The focus of what our study was just on the two subdivisions that are the city of Bloomfield Hills on the east side of Lasser Road. So we have Pine Ridge, and then we have Woodwind. And the main focus of this was looking at stop signs, whether stop signs are warranted at these locations. One of the things that the commission asked is, can we put stop signs up on Lasser? And I'll kind of walk through the reasoning why, but overall I do not recommend that we add stop signs on Lasser at neither one of these intersections. The reason being is that we really, as traffic engineers, within the state of Michigan, we follow the Michigan Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, which does set out some warrants that are to be looked at that help to guide our guidance in determining whether stop signs should be installed in different areas. So currently there are stop signs on the side streets, on Pine Ridge and on Woodwind, but overall we don't recommend that they get installed on Lasser. So there are 5 warrants, which I also provided a letter in your packet that explains some of these a little more. But the first one is that there is an actual experience of crashes out there, that there were 4 or more correctable crashes in the 12-month period, or 5 or more in 36 months. Neither one of those locations have that crash history. The second item to look at is sight distance. Sight distance on the minor road is not adequate to turn onto the major road. We did not find that that would be fixed through the use of adding stop signs on the major road. The third warrant is a transition to a signal. So if the ultimate goal is to put a traffic signal there, but because traffic signals take 3 years to design, as we just talked about, there may be a need to put up a stop sign in the meantime, which is not the case at either one of these locations. The next warrant is a volume warrant, which I'll show more on the next page. This is what I really want to focus on. So for 8 hours, for 8 separate hours throughout the day, there should be similar traffic on all of the approaches. That's 300 per hour on the major approaches combined, and then 200 per hour on the minor. And we use the word units here because it looks at traffic volumes as well as pedestrians and bicyclists. So the word units is talking about all of those uses at the intersection.
What is the difference between major and minor?
Yep.
I mean, we're all talking about Lasser Road. So.
Yep. So Lasser Road is your major road. So this is...
And minor are the offshoot subdivisions?
Minor is your side street road. Yep. So your minor street is your Pine Ridge and your Woodwind in this case, and then your major street is Lasser Road.
And
so,
can you just acknowledge that there were stop signs and we didn't have the problem before? Just instead of saying
for me,
newly putting them in, I just want to make sure
Honestly, I don't really care what was there before. So I'm looking at what our current situation is up there and what I would recommend we do moving forward. So I understand there were stop signs there before, but I don't really comment on that. Just because it was there does not mean it should be there in the future. So as far as traffic volumes go, what I was explaining is 200 vehicles or units per hour for 8 consecutive hours throughout the day. So this is 1 day's worth of data, 24 hours worth of data. So Pine Ridge, we saw 97 vehicles throughout the whole day. And what I want to point to is a comparison between the volumes on Pine Ridge versus what is on Lasser. Lasser Road that same day had almost 11,000 vehicles. So why we look at that traffic volumes is because when you do find different traffic volumes on the roads is when you find that stop signs get ignored, that their people begin to run through stop signs when we have that unbalancing of traffic. So a couple reasons why stop signs are not recommended on Lasser is because I said they're not warranted, so then they often get ignored. You'll see drivers will start to roll through the stop signs, they'll start to run the stop signs because they rarely experience that opposing traffic on the side street. And that really presents a safety concern of people are ignoring it, so then when there is a vehicle present, it's not helping the situation. It results in increased crashes. Stop signs are not to be used for speed control. And really because when they're used for that purpose, then we often find that they're ignored and they often result in frustrated drivers. So stop signs on Lasser, if there's no people on the side street coming out, drivers will start to get frustrated, they'll result in aggressive driving, and then we often see an increase in speed of vehicles leaving the stop sign because they want to make up for that lost time. They were forced to stop with no opposing traffic. We tend to see that drivers get frustrated and start speeding up after stop signs. So as I pointed out, the amount of vehicles on Lasser Road, the 10,000 vehicles per day, stopping each one of those vehicles will result in additional backups along Lasser Road. So specifically near Pine Ridge, we have the school driveways that are nearby. Stopping each one of those vehicles will result in traffic backing up through those driveways. Similarly at Woodwind, we'll start to see backups into the Hickory Grove intersection if we start stopping every vehicle that approaches Woodwind. And then I also wanted to point out just the Woodwind intersection specifically. As you're traveling southbound on Lasser, it is going uphill, so there is sight distance issues there with putting stop signs at the Woodwind intersection that vehicles won't be able to see that stop sign far in advance to stop, which could result in rear end crashes, people hitting each other, and then also stopping on that hill, something the chief brought up during winter months, maybe an issue with snow and slippery, just having everybody stop on that hill there. So I know a second question with this came, can we add crosswalks with the stop signs at these two intersections? And what we experienced was there was minimal non-motorized traffic crossing Lasser Road at those two specific intersections. I would not recommend that we install crosswalks as things currently are. In order to add crosswalks, I would recommend they come with ADA compliant sidewalk landing areas as well as sidewalk along the east side of Lasser. We could discuss having a mid-block crossing there, but I wouldn't suggest that without doing additional sidewalk work on the east side of Lasser, and that I feel is a bigger discussion as far as if the city wants to invest in sidewalk along that Lasser Road. But given how it is currently, I do not recommend marking crosswalks at either one of those side streets. And then, so that's kind of the end of my presentation. Again, I focused really on the stop signs and the crosswalks at those specific locations. Chief is also
But we had asked that you look at the stop sign where the school exits. There are two exits from the school. And I didn't hear any discussion about a stop sign on Lasser where the school exits and those cars have to get out. At least it would stop the traffic temporarily. And everything seems to be based on the bad guy that doesn't look at a stop sign, or the bad guy that rolls through the stop sign, at least it would slow them down, at least they would pause. I don't know,
Could you put in some type of hard blinking light so it just works during school hours?
Can I ask a clarifying question, and really for both of you? To what end? So that you could turn left or right out of the side streets, or to protect the pedestrians?
Both, I mean, any pause in traffic would be helpful.
Okay, so I'm gonna handle the pedestrian one first, if you don't mind. There's no sidewalks, and there's only 30 homes on Pine Ridge, right? And we had an earlier presentation at Planning Commission about the demographics in this community. We didn't see hardly any pedestrian traffic trying to cross on that road.
Because we
When the
can't, we
school-
can't.
Right, but when the school, the older intersections, the school now intersection, the drop off is now north of Pine Ridge, right? It's not, there used to be one that was lined up at the other end, I think, down there. So you've got two school entrances offset from two city entrances on the other side, and you're gonna stop 10,000 cars
It worked
a day.
before, it's all I'm saying.
I don't know if it did.
You don't think it slows down
I
traffic?
lived it, it helped.
I think
Ask
the
these
stop signs
guys.
for pedestrians.
I'm as equally concerned about Woodwind, because, I mean, somehow, I can't stand seeing the kids going to school in the morning and having to stop for them and thinking that I'm a god for letting them across the street when I go northbound in Lasser. It's driving me crazy. I just don't see how the kids can get across that street. And if you're having trouble, with stop sign, seeing the stop sign going uphill, how the heck are you gonna see the little kid who's 4'2"?
So I do not think a stop sign here is your solution for getting pedestrians across the road. If you want to discuss an actual pedestrian crossing, I would do it mid-block, somewhere in between these roads. But that would require that you put sidewalk along the east side, which would take out a lot of trees and have significant impact.
It
And
would
if that
really
is
have
something you guys do want to explore, I'm happy to talk further about it. But a stop sign at this intersection to get people across the road is not a safe solution for them.
That's where I was heading, the pedestrian issue is not the stop signs. The pedestrian, to solve that, you need sidewalk along your side and do a proper mid-block crossing at the school entrance, essentially, or near that. And that would just be when a hawk signal, or, you know, they can.
Where you actually stop
they press a
vehicles.
non-stop sign, that would be you press a button, the light flashes, another crossing guard kind of scenario.
Yeah.
Right? But this time
And
you're
the
straight
guy
down
who's got the corner house spends all his time gardening there anyways.
Yeah. So that is a different question than where I was going with my statements. That was a different question than what we asked, because what we were asked was, there are pedestrians coming out of these two subdivisions, and will stop signs fix it? Stop signs will not fix it and will cause intended, unintended consequences, I think is Leah's point. If you guys want to explore a mid-block crossing for the school, that's okay, but every time we've had a conversation about any kind of pedestrian facilities, including the one down off of Horton, this commission has shied away from that and the cost of that. So we didn't want to go any further because at the second pedestrian comes up, we've had those issues. If it's speed, you're not going to fix the solution, and I guarantee, I got pulled over there once when the old stop signs were there because I hit the stop sign, I was going someplace else, and I may not have been able to talk myself out of it, but stop signs here, again, I don't think that's going to solve the problem. Mid-block crossing for the pedestrians is a different conversation. I just wanted to make my point on that. I think you guys understand. We can look at that if you like, but it has repercussions. The traffic is so disproportionate coming in and out, especially on Pine Ridge. 93 cars a day. There's about 10,000 cars from 93 cars, and not those 93 are all turning left either, right? So I just think you're so disproportionate. If you want to look at mid-block crossing, we'd be happy to do that for you. Thanks, man.
Chief King, do you have a presentation as well?
I did my presentation already, but I can answer questions, or, I can add, legal type stuff.
Not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen.
The study that I conducted also worked with the school, and they brought up a lot of good issues. If you do put a crosswalk mid-block, they would absolutely refuse to support something like that unless it also included a crossing guard.
And they brought up some pretty unique perspectives because of the way the children approach, and if they see that crosswalk, they'll just go. There's no traffic control there to stop those cars, wherever that is. So are we talking about another stop there specific to that, not at Woodwind or Pine Ridge? And one of the safety instructors there brought that point up, that youth will believe that is a safe place to walk. They'll believe that, and you will actually create, in their concern, another aspect of safety for the children crossing there. So there was another layer that their school.
The school doesn't seem to want it.
No, the school wants it their way, very specific, with crossing guards. They're also traffic control, and then they only want it in a certain area because they have a traffic plan that they designed when they redid that building, where the traffic flows in and out with buses and things like that, which whatever stop sign we produce or we install there, if we were to, would cause other issues that we have found in historical projects like this. The residents there are going to hear those buses stopping all the time at that stop sign, going north and south. So during the day, you're going to have those quality of life issues, those environmental issues. The school did not want the buses to be stopping halfway because everything backs up and they have a certain traffic flow on their property. So you have a lot of different entities that we took into consideration and we went and talked to, and we got their perspective. And it's like anything. I have a hard time making 2 people happy, let alone 5 or 6. And with the school, it just was, their aspects were different than Bloomfield Township PD. And then our residents, some of our residents and some of the Bloomfield Township residents, we really did try to take everybody's input in addition to the law, in addition to OCRC and the speed limit there. And my recommendation was something that was reasonable and would improve safety for the children in some way, one step or form that was fiscally responsible, was to install designated a school zone and have some kind of a flashing indicator, because it's not going to lower the speed limit. It's already 25. The speed limit's not going to be affected. It's going to remain 25. The only thing that really is going to be affected is we're going to heighten some awareness, which is important for safety, but we're going to double the fines of people we write tickets to in the school zone. And that's pretty much what my recommendation was. And then to have some of my findings hopefully supported by Leah and HRC, which it sounds like everything is there. It's data-driven, and it was a thorough, comprehensive review, and a lot of factors were taken in.
I'll tell you one thing, I think the stop sign was there for the high school. More kids were driving them than that. But this is an elementary, but the fact is that right now, getting in and out of that school during their rush hour, that half hour is, I mean, cars lying back 40, 50 cars. Cars stop on Lasser coming in and out without a stop sign. It's a mess. And I don't know what you can do about it. There's always a fallback of enforcement. People act differently when we're out there. Even the studies that we did on the traffic flow there, the speed, they're always going to react differently when we're. The township put the policeman, in an empty car there, and everybody got used to that already, so.
I stand ready to answer any other questions that either you guys have or that, to support what HRC found also.
Okay.
Yeah, it's disappointing.
Does anyone in the audience have any questions?
I just think it's funny when we do these studies about how many people are walking or biking. It's like a chicken and egg problem. We have a very busy Gloucester road of 10,000, 11,000 cars going through, and we wonder why we don't have more pedestrians walking around.
I know, exactly.
Well, there's no pedestrians, so we don't need it. It's like, well, there's no pedestrians because it's freaking scary.
Yeah.
My point. The majority, we did direct observations on pedestrians crossing, school age kids. We didn't really focus on pedestrians in general, people out walking in the middle of the day. We focused specifically on school children. That was our primary focus. And we got everything from 0 to 12, but some of those 12.
Because parents won't let them cross because it's dangerous.
What kind of community do we want to have? Do we want to have one that's a major thoroughfare at Gloucester, or do we want to have a community where people are able to walk and drive?
So what we found was a lot of parents from the other subdivisions were driving down to Pine Ridge, dumping their kid out on Pine Ridge and letting them cross there.
They didn't want to go to the park.
Because they don't want to be bothered by the traffic plan on the school property. So, I mean, you do kind of have, it's not the pedestrians coming from the schools. I was able to get the information from the school. I know exactly how many kids are in both subdivisions. There is school transportation in both subdivisions for the kids. And there's parents, there's a bus right in. And so.
Yeah,
and so-
35 minutes in the bus to go across.
And some
the street.
parents are making choices. It is multi-layered, and there's no one silver bullet answer that'll fix it.
So you said, so there is a bus that goes into the neighborhood on?
Of Wynwood, yes.
Woodwind?
Woodwind, I think, I have.
But they have to take the whole route, so the child has to get in and go 35 minutes.
Oh, okay. I just remember.
Or if they leave, yeah.
They were considered walkers and they.
There are,
they didn't get-
I confirmed with the school district, they have one that stops on Losser for Pine Ridge, and I believe there's 2 different stops in the Woodwood subdivision.
Yes, another question.
Yes, ma'am.
In these studies, the safety studies and everything, are we for sure moving forward with designating that area as school zone?
Yep, we're working with the appropriate installers and going from solar to hardwired, electrical. So, we're working on it. It's not as fast as I want it to be, but we're gonna get something done. You have my word on it. But that's, as was stated earlier, it's one layer. It's gotta be enforcement. We've gotta go out there and write tickets, and we will see you guys out there. We promise you, we will see you guys out there. And one of the things we will say is you will say, we will stop you and we will write you a ticket, and you will say, not me, them. I'm sorry. So, with that being said, anything else, commissioners?
Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners. Anyone?
Thank you for investigating.
Moving on, to item number 11, we'll consider the proposed road improvement project for Trowbridge Farms and the related budget amendment.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I just want to update the commission on the condition of the roads in Trowbridge subdivision. Talked about this every year, that there's going to have to be some additional costs to repairing the road. My hope is one day we can put enough asphalt base around there that we don't have as many issues, but it depends on the weather and depending on the construction and depending on a lot of different variables can cause more road issues and more degradation of the roads. So this, in this case, in this spring, we've done a lot of evaluation within the Trowbridge subdivision, and we found we've had to put some more money into the cut and replace with hot mix asphalt base repair, so that when we do the chip seal, that the base won't move as much, and we won't have the chip seal covering sort of separating out and falling apart. So, if you're ever to drive through the Trowbridge subdivision in the spring, you would notice a lot of potholes, a lot of different areas. Some of that was caused by some of the construction that was going on. Some of that's caused by just some of the ground being soft. And so we've determined that we need to put some money into shoring up the roads. We also believe that we should we're scheduled to get a chip seal done. We believe we should get it done earlier after we repair the roads, get a double chip seal. That portion of money is in there we can use to do these improvements. But we need to ask the commission for an additional $25,000. So we need a budget amendment for $102,000 total to get this whole project done. A little confusing, but.
Can I ask something?
Sure.
I understand that a lot of these issues are because of the massive construction of these massive homes in there. And I know you have a bond for those construction companies, that it's like, for some repair. But I think it needs to be more than the normal amount. It has to be double or triple, because it's costing the city so much more to repair the entire length. It's not just the side of the road where they park, it's the entire road that it's chewing up on the way to that house.
I agree with you.
And I think the people building these you know, multi-million-dollar homes need to understand that they need to contribute to repairing these roads.
I completely agree with you. We have a case right now that's outstanding that a homeowner that did a major home project owes the city money because we do require road bonds. We initially required a $10,000 road bond, but we have the ability through our ordinance to add extra monies on that. And I would agree with you.
I just think it should be an ordinance that if it's in a chip seal area, that road bond needs to be higher.
So typically what we do is we take pictures before the construction happens. And then at the end, we take pictures again. Unfortunately, this year, the entire subdivision has been filled with potholes, so it's difficult. We could still collect the money from the damage to the road in front of the homes through the road bond process. But I would agree with you that the other potholes and damage to the roads are due in part from the heavy trucks.
They can't handle it.
There were some
Right.
really, really heavy trucks that have, 18-wheelers, big trucks.
Yes.
Especially, I think there was one, they were going down Eaton Cross, I think, for some of those big projects. And those mostly parked off the road, but they were big. And
So
then-
we are collecting from these folks for these, but
But
we
it's
only
not
collect
enough.
for the front of the house.
And I know it's more expensive for these construction companies, but they should have to bring in smaller trucks, and there should be a limit. You know, like there's always like a limit of weight. It just doesn't seem appropriate for these.
Well, the chip seal is just not as robust as.
Right.
Of course, but we need to prevent them from going on your chip seal. And they can bring
Well,
they do it all the time.
The
where they
one
have to
that
bring
the
us-
trucks that really cause the impact are like the cement trucks, and those are just big, heavy trucks. You can't really get small cement trucks. That's the problem. I completely agree with you. I don't know from a legal perspective. I've never talked to Mark about this, but I mean, my common sense approach would be we can make them responsible for the damage that's in front of the project, but it's really difficult to make them responsible for damage that is on outside roads, even though I would agree that those heavy trucks are part of the problem. I don't know if you have a
But often there is, like you said, a no truck zone because of the road. So there has to be something.
There have to be trucks loaded.
You need a motion of some sort today, right? To increase.
Yeah, well, we need a budget amendment to
I mean,
pay for
this every month you come in front of us and ask for more and more money for this chip seal, and is there an end to the?
Well, we don't come every month, but we're gonna
Well-
come every year though, probably for a while.
It's been 125 to start, 77 now, plus 25, plus.
Well, the
So
77 is the
are we gonna
original
reassess
SAD.
the neighborhood, or?
That's the 77 is the money collected under the SAD at the
Residents have
beginning of
already
this.
paid for that.
That's already been paid. It's in the budget. And
I just think it's.
That's the original money.
Yeah. I'm
Chris,
sorry,
Chris,
I just
if you would.
Chris Bauer, Trowbridge Farms Association. The chip seal that's currently down is only the single layer as well. It's not the final product. Really, unfortunately, we have all these construction projects in this period of time between the two layers, and we're scheduled to get the second layer now. So I'm hoping that will make it more resilient, but right now it's just been a thin layer. And yeah, we've had, these roads were put in around 1915. And so there was heavy erosion that took place for, 100 years. And so it's difficult to ensure that all of these roads are properly graded and compressed to be able to, withstand this. And so again, it's just this very thin layer right now. It's not the final product. And, but I mean, it's good that we have road bonds from new construction projects. In addition, to reassess the neighborhood would be difficult because we did reach an agreement with the city that the city
was a
would
very generous,
maintain the
yeah.
roads from here on out. And we do have that second layer of chip seal already covered in the SAD. So that was
It just seems like it was misevaluated from the get-go. It should have been graded, compacted, or had a better base.
It was.
And drainage should have been better. I mean, I've heard all the
Yeah,
complaints.
yeah.
It's
It's
unfortunate
difficult.
it wasn't evaluated correctly from.
Well, it was compacted and it was graded.
Yeah.
But to Chris's point, it's just that first layer is so thin, and it's fine for vehicles and cars, but when you get a big heavy truck in there, and it makes these turns, and on a lot of these trucks, those tires in the rear, they don't actually turn, they twist and drill into the road, and that's what's tearing up the, it's just
a lot
not,
of construction in the
and
last few
to
years.
asphalt the whole community was more than,
We couldn't get it passed.
couldn't get it
We
passed.
just tried for decades. No one would pay for it. And so this was the only affordable option, which has greatly reduced mud and dust. I mean, Alice, you would have to get the sensors on your vehicle replaced every year.
Every year,
Yeah.
every year.
And so it's really made a great improvement. Additionally, it's made our neighborhood more attractive for investment. And as a result, we do have these new construction projects for multi-million-dollar homes, which will improve our tax revenue in turn, which will help offset the cost of our needs here. And I'm worried about Eaton Cross Road, because there's 2 construction projects there, and it's really in bad shape. There's 3.
There's
Okay.
2 homes right
Oh,
on the
there's
corner.
going to be another eventually. Yeah.
It's there already.
Well, yes, there's one in the corner in Trowbridge and Eaton Cross,
There's 2 there,
and then one on.
further down.
Yes.
But it's a family that's built
Yes.
2 homes there.
Can we put a bigger bond on these trucks, or it's just not gonna
Yeah,
work?
Yes, make it a bigger bond.
Yeah, with our ordinance, we can do that.
You wanna tell us?
It's 10,000 to begin with. I think if a $10,000 bond for this chip seal in front of a property would be a fair amount of money to collect.
But they're driving up the whole street, they're ripping the whole street.
Ripping
They
up
are,
the
but I
whole
don't
street.
know how.
It's not just their frontage that's getting affected.
And the house in question that you're talking about, they parked all the way, they had so many trucks.
They're not
They
just
parked
parking in front, that's a good
all the way down
point,
the street,
Alice.
way past that.
I'm looking at this from a legal perspective, so I would just ask our attorney to comment.
I think it would be, I will research it if you'd like, but I'm a little dubious about the ability to do that, to require one person owning one lot who's building a home that's permitted to reimburse the city for the public street.
You can't do it for the whole thing, they got building 3 homes, so
They're not
how would you
allowed to
split it
park
up?
their vehicles in the street, and they did that consistently the whole
Okay,
time.
that's a
So
different
that's a good
issue.
point.
It's just the one
They
street.
should not be able to park any of their construction vehicles
I don't want
in
them
the
driving
street.
it back and forth, that's for sure, I don't want them to.
Well, they didn't park there were so many trucks, they parked in the front yard and filled the front yard with trucks, and then the rest of the trucks would park up and down
Well,
the
they
street.
should be fined,
That's the one you're talking about, right? I can't-
Can you take a look at it?
because that's a very
Sure.
enforceable
Thank you.
thing,
Yeah.
that,
Thank
like,
you,
in
Council.
Florida, it's so enforced that they bust their workers in from out.
We've written a lot of tickets over there for those cars parked.
You do, you make money on the tickets?
I'm not interested in making money, I'm interested in just making sure that they follow
Get
the
off the
ordinance. but-
street.
Make
Um,
money, make money.
If I might, it might be better to raise the fine on the parking ticket than trying to impose a bond.
That's not gonna,
Move the
I
needle.
mean, for the parking
that's not gonna move the
situation.
needle, it's a perfect way to
But
say
it will help be a deterrent from them being on the street and make them make more effort to.
It may be the only way you can do it rationally, because the damages to the whole street, and you aren't gonna pass it off to one house, and, yeah, could you take a look at the fine? Take a look at,
You know, it's-
I keep an eye on that, and I contact Tom Rogers whenever I see the park in the street. We had an issue over in Warrington as well, and they haven't had a choice because they are putting in new sewer lines, and they cannot park on the lot. So I've tried to.
No,
see
honestly,
how
it's never, they don't have a choice. They always have a choice, and they should not be parking on your streets. And I know for a fact in Florida, nobody parks on the street in front of their house, and they cannot and they do not. And there's a way to enforce that. It's not like, oh, we're doing this now, we really can't. They're ruining your streets, and it is easily enforceable. It just takes a lot more
And
effort.
I don't know, there is some parking on the street, but some of these trucks that come in
But see, they can bring soil in smaller trucks. I mean, if you can enforce this, that they do it in Florida on a regular basis, and I just don't know why we're not.
Yeah,
Homes are
but
built
please-
We're
please-
allowing all of
girders
this.
Please understand, in Florida, they have, you people here ship their cars down. If you park on a street to unload the car, the cops give you an immediate $300 fine. They add it into
Seriously.
the,
I mean, like-
they add it into the price of moving, hauling the car, the $300 penalty.
In
they
minutes,
pay
I mean,
down.
that,
Yeah.
trust me, as soon as the word gets out,
Do we wanna live like that now?
you want to get people off your roads. You don't want them chewing up your roads, I don't believe.
It's
And
done. If you guys could figure out how you can best pass the cost on to the private individual using it, if your council can do that, it would be good. And let's see how we can maximize.
otherwise, this is going to be ongoing. I just,
benefit to the city.
if they're incentivized to bring smaller trucks in, they'll do it. It's just like our garbage trucks,
need a
right?
motion
Didn't we
today?
incentivize them to be smaller
I
trucks?
need a motion for a budget
For
amendment.
this.
For a budget.
So, we,
Could our acting mayor give us a motion? She's.
yes,
Well,
I'll
if-
give you the motion.
I'll second
If
it.
there's an effort,
No, you,
Stop the-
you'll make the motion.
If you give it to me, I gotta read it.
I'll read it. I'll read it, you say,
Okay,
you
all
just
right.
say.
You say it.
Do we have a motion regarding the expenditures for the Trowbridge subdivision road repair project described in our materials tonight and the corresponding budget amendment in the amount of $102,000 to fund the SAD chip seal portion and additional repair work as outlined by our finance director tonight?
I saw.
And to authorize the city manager to sign the necessary agreements and work orders.
I so move.
We have a second.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion's carried. All right.
Actually,
Have you collected underneath those bonds?
I am trying to collect on one right now that have a little difficulty with, but
Is that Canterbury?
yep,
Okay.
we're gonna take care of that.
Okay.
I've given him his time to talk to me about it, but decision's final.
Okay,
The building official will handle that, right?
okay.
Okay.
And then what about, Eden Cross? Is that,
That's,
I know they've been conscious of.
well, we don't engage with that until they're done,
Okay.
until we give them a CO vote.
I'm worried about this second chip sealing coming through.
Yeah?
Because that road has just been destroyed, and there's been a lot of factors, you've got the erosion from the slopes, there's the heavy trucks, there's 2 houses being built there, and I'm just wondering what's going to be done to, I don't think we can hold off on that portion, in anticipation of the second chip sealing. Have they weighed in on that, the chip sealing contractor?
Well, the chip sealing contractor is gonna want to fulfill his contract. So there's a time period there, right? So he's gonna do it anyway, so if he's gonna do it, let's try to do it right by filling all these voids, cutting and filling all these voids. Chip seal, you can't control the, yeah.
But you're doing 2 chip seals, aren't you? We're doing 2 additional chip seals over it.
Oh, okay,
And
so
on
it's
one,
not
on
just-
Trowbridge, on Trowbridge, there's going to be a 3rd one.
The hill, we're gonna do a 3rd one on the hill.
On the hill, the slope on
Yeah.
Canterbury Avenue.
Well, that one, I think it's on Trowbridge.
Now, there's a section on Trowbridge that's failed, and I think that's anticipating an asphalt patch, am I correct? Okay.
Yeah, we have a lot of them around. I don't wanna prolong this, but Leah's been working very closely with our DPW, so she's been tasked to make sure that all these damaged areas are corrected before he chips in.
Thank you.
Now we know who to go to.
Yes.
How do you do your garbage? You got a truck pick this?
yeah, it comes in. They haven't picked it, they picked it up today.
The next
They
item is
missed
city
for 2
manager
weeks.
comments.
You know, they killed the
I don't have any.
None.
That's why
Okay, well,
my
hey,
driveway's got.
the meeting's over.
No, it was other business.
Other business?
Oh, other business, does anyone have other business?
He has other business, the
Yeah.
trash, right?
The other business would be Commissioner Baxter talking about signs.
Oh,
Really
about
quickly.
signs.
Yeah.
What about the trash, though?
The what?
The
What
trash,
about it?
the
It
trash
was in
report.
the-
Problems, our
it was
trash
in
is
the
not getting
consent
picked up.
agenda. We approved it. The trash was.
With waste services? I thought it was in other business with Dave.
No, that was in the consent
Oh,
agenda.
okay.
But we could talk about it if you like.
we still having
We'll talk
trouble with
about-
trash?
Yeah,
Oh,
didn't pick it
yeah.
up for 2 weeks. They picked it up today, but it was bad.
I did talk to, if I can
And,
comment.
and Amy was kind to call them. They said they would pick it up. They didn't last week, but they did today.
I talked to, so that was an issue, and I just wish that you would never have a trash problem again. I don't know why.
I
I'd
know.
rather have no trash, I'd rather have trash problems for 3 weeks if you know, if it could prevent you from having one, because we don't want you to have any trash problems, but for whatever reason, they did miss where your trash was. We apologize for that.
But it also happened to a friend of mine on Cranbrook and another friend on.
It'd be
But I
next
think
door.
they're doing pretty good overall. Certainly, they're doing better than our prior.
And I told her,
company.
please have patience. They're new, so okay.
But they were very responsive to you and to whatever complaint comes in. I'm sorry that you had that issue. We hope it never happens again.
Me too. Thank you.
Okay, signs, I'll try to make this quick. Sorry, it's been a long meeting. So Chris, maybe you'd like to take a look at these. We've got signs up front here, and I know that you brought up the issue about the readability of the signs on Woodward Avenue. And so what we have here is we've got some 6-inch signs, sign blades, with a 3-inch text. And then we've got this 9-inch blade with
Is this a 3-inch?
3-inch, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And then
That's gonna be
that's-
the 4.5?
that's about 4 inches
On the bottom.
on the bottom.
4-inch text.
So
That's the 4-inch.
How does the top one compare to what's there now?
Similar.
well, the current one now is, I think it's a 6-inch blade, but the letters are 2 inches.
Yeah.
They're very tiny.
So it's smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
Here's
is
the
much bigger.
recommended
Okay.
guidelines for the size on roads that are 40 miles an hour or more, multi-lane. We suggest 4.5-inch lowercase and I think it's 6-inch for uppercase. You know, if we were able to get at the very least 4.5, it would be
Well,
better because
I wonder if the
it's-
4-inch would fit. I think the 4-inch would
This is
fit
the
on the
4-inch.
6.
You think this would fit on that? This is the 6-inch blade.
Well, it would have to be a longer.
This is the 8-inch blade, right?
That's-
Are we always doing all caps? Is that, because it wouldn't be so big if you used
What do you want?
smaller letters.
Well, we want it to be consistent with all of the streets
Yeah,
on the
everything's
interior, have
already
somewhat,
all
some
caps.
consistency.
Interior for sure,
Needs to
but
be
for
seen.
Woodward, you
And
may want
safety
bigger
is-
ones.
No, I'm just saying upper lowercase. At least we could keep the font the same and just change the size.
I just wanted to walk through all the trade-offs too, because if we go to the 9-inch blade, we don't have end caps for that, so that would be just another different look within
Oh.
the city.
9-inch blade being this one?
Yes,
This is a 9-inch.
that's a
Okay.
9-inch blade.
I thought it was an 8-inch. Okay.
What do you recommend?
Well, me personally, I would recommend going with the 6-inch blade with the text as shown on the upper sign there. And I bet that's a vast improvement over what is already there. That way you can keep the end caps, you can keep, the same look with this decorative treatment.
Can the letters be a little bit bigger than what's on the
Yeah,
top
they
one?
could. We could go to, I think that's 3, that could go to 3.5 or 4 even, but
would
when you go up in height of the text, you also get
More
longer.
width, yeah, you wanna
So-
keep it, yeah.
You wanna keep it proportional.
Is Trowbridge one of the longer roads on Woodward?
Yeah,
I would imagine
Yeah,
so.
we got Warren's
So
one.
just maybe base it on whatever Trowbridge would fit on, the biggest.
yeah, I guess, Bloomfield Hills Parkway is the longest.
Is that on Woodward? Yeah, it is, okay, yeah.
So for consistency, proportionality, a vast improvement over what's already there, being able to use the end caps, I mean, that's where I'm
Reflective.
at, but I'm relatively neutral on this if the commission thinks it should be.
I think the 8-inch looks awkward big. And if we've got the end caps
I think you start out with the 6-inch and see how it looks.
with bigger letters maybe.
Start out that way and.
If you got a kernel a little closer, make room, 'cause yeah, I don't,
Yeah, you don't wanna,
you don't want a giant long, yeah.
okay. All right, so we'll do that. We'll go with the top Trowbridge
Get it done.
sign.
With bigger letters. And then, can we get samples of the wood and this, and the metal?
Yeah, the wood planks are coming. They're gonna go up in the neighborhood where Yarborough and Harlan,
Yep.
that intersection's been put up, and there's 4 intersections total. So 2 of them will be blades, 2 of them will be planks.
Oh, so you won't have them side by side?
No,
I was just looking for a sample for people to look at. This is the difference.
well, we're working on a sample for you.
Yeah, we're gonna get yours in your subdivision, right next to each other, like we discussed.
Okay, so, okay.
So you'll
I was
have,
just,
She's making the decision.
no, I'm not. I don't want to be that person, but I'm.
Yeah, no, that's, it's.
I mean, are we gonna
it's a
tell
good
people, so
idea.
go to this corner and look at this one, and go to this corner and look at the other one?
No, I would
Which
let
one do you like
well,
better?
two of them, like 2 of them are on Lone Pine, so we've got 1 plank on Lone Pine and 1 metal on Lone Pine, so you'll be able to see both as you're going down Lone Pine. And then within the neighborhood, there's 2 locations as well. 1 plank, 1 metal.
Oh, okay, great.
So you've got
So 1 plank, 1 metal on the same
Yep.
corner, same,
same street. Well, within
opposite
the neighborhood,
corner.
it's Harlan and
Okay.
I forget.
I understand.
Harlan and
I guess you
Yarborough.
don't want to waste it. I just thought.
They're fairly close, so I mean, you would just go around the block and you'd see the other ones, so.
So I'll have to direct people to do that. Okay.
Yes, Brad, I just wanted to, ask you about the phases we had briefly discussed before of implementing these and prioritizing woodwork for safety's sake.
Okay.
I just wanted to bring that up while we're on the subject, because those are the most, in my opinion, the most important in the city because of the safety issues. So, and I know that you wanted to implement the street sign replacement phases.
Yeah, I think we were waiting for decision on this because that would determine what's gonna go up on Woodward. And these end caps just came in. These samples just arrived yesterday, so.
Great.
Okay,
Okay.
we're good now.
Thank you.
Anything else, any other business?
You can.
Meeting's
Great.
adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.